Hello, good evening, and welcome. You're watching. You're watching the Inview. My name is Clint Denyer. We come here every single week and join as a family in relation to bringing you the most amazing guests from all life with a spiritual edge to them as well. And by no means we have a plethora of guests tonight. I hope you've all had a good week out there. I don't know if you found it as I have. It's been a very strange time, not just with the pandemic and all that rubbish, but in sleeping, in all sorts of different things. I think our body's going through a transmutation stage from our souls within that's growing and evolving at this time. And believe me, it is a crazy world. Not only have we got the fake pandemic in lots of ways, but we have the atrocious scenes we see with Mr. Floyd, who was killed by a policeman. And this has sparked riots all over the country. And, you know, one of the things, hello, Gemma James Brooks says, hello, welcome along. One of the things I see with this, I watched on social media tonight in Bristol, they pulled down a statue and then they threw it into the water. I think that's going too far, to be honest. I feel that we can retaliate and we can, campaign and march, but I do feel that we have to, get away from breaking the law. Basically, who are we if we're going to break the law? Do you know what I mean? I know that those that are in power are actually not good for any of us, as we all know ourselves. But the fact is that we can't go around desecrating things. And, I know, it shows you how bad it is, because the police, as well as the crowds that are on the march and all sorts, none of them social distancing and all sorts. And apparently only this week we've been told that the Southwest is the highest place with COVID at the moment, where it was the lowest or the second lowest to Cornwall. And obviously Northwest England as well has got it very bad, or Northeast England. Look, COVID, to my mind and in my opinion, is just what we suffer every year. Yes, it's an extreme version of it, but when man has had some dealings in creating it, I think that then it goes out of the realms of a natural phenomena. Saying that, I watched this week with great sadness, really. Kate Garraway was on GMTV, or GMTV. It used to be called that. Good Morning Britain with Piers, and she was on there giving a very heart-rendering talk about her time with Rick, who's in hospital who was put into a coma, basically, who's coming out of the coma and slowly recovering after weeks and weeks and weeks in intensive care. I find it astonishing in lots of ways that, hello, Jason. Hello, Cosmic Cosbro. Well, that must be me. Nice to have you on board, young man. My heart goes out to Kate, because this has gone on for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And she gave a very heart-rendering, open conversation, the most open interview you could possibly see, better than any politicians, which are closed. My thoughts and my prayers go out to Kate. Obviously, not only is she quite a celebrity, but she also, everyone knows Kate from In the Jungle and everything. It's a terrible shame. It really is. And nobody knows why it has affected Derek so badly. And you have someone like Boris, who's in there 3 days or 4 days. Affects people differently, I suppose. And that's if Boris had it anyway. I do know that Boris is vanished right now. No one can actually see where he is. I don't know where he is. Has anyone seen? Not where's Wally, where's Boris? But of course it doesn't matter, because Boris is in charge of the government, or 10 Downing Street. Dominic Cummings is. Unfortunately, Dominic Cummings, who isn't a politician, who has a hidden agenda, is driving a wedge in this country, big time. And people are basically sick to death of talking about COVID. I know that it's got to a point that I'm thinking, what is the point of talking about it anymore? Because, you know, it is really come to its end. People, even apart from, you know, we can't go and enjoy a pint at a pub or go out for a meal and various other things. One thing that really incensed me this week, really incensed me, was I think it was on Monday, where the government said that from today it will be illegal for two people to meet in a house and have sex, basically, or even two people to meet in a house. But of course, all the headlines are saying sex is banned, nookie is banned, basically. It's not the sex thing that concerns me. It is very much down to the civil liberties of you, the people out there. When these people are saying that 6 people can come outside now, it's so confusing what you can and can't do. And by the way, only tonight I've seen an article talking about sex. That apparently COVID-19 is in men's semen, in their semen. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know what they're trying to do, but they're obviously driving an enormous amount of fear porn straight up your galactic highway into your brain. Do you know what I mean? It's a load of tripe. It really is. I feel it goes against civil liberties. I don't know how they ever police it, to be honest, if they ever can. And does anyone ever matter anyway? You know, it doesn't matter, does it? Because everyone would do what they do because, you know, basically the world's gone mad. Because you basically got Dominic Cummings, who sits there running the government, even though he's not a Tory, even though he's not affiliated to any political party, is pulling all the strings. Boris is a puppet, has them all. All the multi-millionaires there haven't got a clue what they're doing. Dominic Cummings does. He knows exactly what he's doing, creating as much mayhem as possible and screwing everyone up. Gemma Jane Brooks says, I wonder how they tested to find out semen. Yeah, I wonder. I don't know. I just see it before I come on air. And, you know, it does make me laugh. I mean, they really are trying to stop people enjoying themselves of every description. Do you know what I mean? And sex is a function that we have within us. You know, I mean, before long, the sex police will be around, and you won't even be allowed to be on your own, and you won't be allowed to play with yourself because obviously the sex police arrest you because, you know, it's not right, because, you know, you could have COVID-19 even though you're actually carrying it, even though it's in you. And the millions of other germs and the millions of other things we have inside us. Do you know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. Another big story this week, obviously, as I said, the rioting and everything, which I'm not going to get into the debate of it and all sorts. We are all equal in this world. Whatever color, whatever creed, whatever culture we are all one. Unfortunately, we all know that there is an inbred racism around the world, really, in lots of ways. And that's not just with black people. That is also with white people. Black people are prejudiced to white people as well. And people tend to forget this. It's all about black people, but it's not. What about white people? What about white people that are picked on? What about white people that are being vilified or whatever for no reason whatsoever by gangs of black youths? You know, nobody talks about any of that. You know, there has to be two ways to this, you know. But at the end of the day, we're all one people. And, you know, all these people campaigning and doing what they're doing, I understand it. But at the same time, you know, we have to look right down the grassroots of where this all started, why it all started. And we have to go right back. Again, I say every single time, to the grassroots of the problem. The grassroots of the problem. Gemma Jane Brooks says the government has saved money on the elderly who have died and disabled and sick. No operations either. Treatments leading to more deaths. You're right. There's about 2.5 million people right now waiting for cancer treatments. And that's without the cardiovascular. Try saying that. My God. She also says, and if less children are created, then the saves the government money too. But also, it does save the money, government money. But of course, they can't get their national insurance number. And if they were alive, they could then have loans and all sorts of things. So they could get themselves in the right mess, which basically what they want, the government want everyone to do. She also says we are living in a dictatorship. I think we are. But the dictator is not Boris. The dictator is Dominic Cummings. Another interesting thing that's going on at the moment is obviously with the Queen. I better tell you who's on the show tonight as well. I haven't done that yet, have I? I'm really slacking tonight. I'll tell you. Nobody's actually commented on that. Before I come to the Queen, this is line up tonight, 7:15, which is not far away, 5 minutes away from Mr. Mario Morris, Empower of Audiences, Transformational Guide and Magician. He's on at 7:15. 7:45 tonight, we got the amazing Nicola Parkinson, creator at Cool Kids, Cool Minds, a co-owner and operator at Westbury Osteopathic and Sports Injury Clinic. She does a lot of work online at the moment, obviously because she can't see people, in relation to children's behavior, attitudes, conduct. Fascinating it is. She's doing a lot of good work. 8:15 tonight, the amazing Teresa Sell comes back and brings us our astrological guide for June to see what's going on. She's an intuitive astrologer, tarot reader, medium, Reiki practitioner, and natural mindfulness guide. And 8:40 tonight, the amazing Jo Dutfield comes back, who's a priestess, healer, mediumship, energy healing, past life healing, all manner of different things. And at 9:10 tonight, we have got the man you've been waiting for. I don't know who he is, but we will find out who he is later on. And remember, you can interact with this show at any point you like. I totally believe what you said there, Gemma, as most people do, because most people waking up. We are living in a dictatorship. And, you know, people flash other news stories to take away the flack, if you like. The Maddie story that come out this week about this German guy that happened to be there, and all of a sudden there's new evidence and everything. And, you know, one of the things somebody told me today, and they're absolutely true, is the fact that, you know, the parents themselves need to take some role in this. Now, I'm not accusing that they did it. I'm a psychic. I see different things, but I do feel that with Madeline being left in a room, basically with other two other children, I think, while their parents went to eat, is neglecting your children. Surely, I don't know about you, but if you have children and when they're young, you're not going to go wander out and go partying or go out for a meal and leave your kids at home. You'd be worried. There's something not right about that whole story, and I'm not accusing anyone, but my own feelings, my own thoughts are that the parents have some involvement somewhere, and I do feel that also, in my own opinion, I do feel that Mary Magdalene, it's not Mary Magdalene, Maddie, as they call it, is not dead. She's still alive. I do believe that. And Gemma says, why haven't the parents been prosecuted and charged with neglect? I don't know. I totally understand what you're saying. Why have social services not stepped in like they would have with Joe Public? I agree. I completely agree. And, you know, it's wrong on all levels, because however you look at it, the parents have behaved in a very neglectful way with the children. This story's been dragged up after 13, 17 years, whatever it is, with this man. I feel that she's still alive, Madeleine McCann. And I do feel that there's a big story around all that. And I do feel somewhere along the way, the parents are involved in it somewhere. That's all I'm saying. There has been a few posts out about the Queen and Prince Philip and Prince Charles. I mean, it's on my wall, on my Facebook wall. If you get a chance, if you haven't seen it, please do. And please comment on it. Because Prince Charles is being interviewed on Sky News. But I'll tell you what, every single person that's watched that has put a comment on there and said it's not Prince Charles. And it isn't Prince Charles. It looks like him and sort of sounds like him. I will come back to that because we have our first guest. I love that ringtone as well. Hello, Mario.
Oh, hey.
Hello. How are you?
I'm all right.
It's lovely to speak to you, Mario. How are you doing?
I'm very, very well, my man. Yes.
You're my first guest on the show tonight. What about that?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, no, so that's
You there?
suits me. Yeah,
Sorry.
that's all really good. Yeah.
We spoke some while ago, but it's great to have you back, Mario. You're always a lot of fun. You carry a lot of education, a lot of common sense as well. And obviously
I'm glad you think so.
You're an empowerment teacher. You do groups and things like that, as well as you're a magician and everything as well. And you live out in the wilds now, which is nice because I've seen your films and everything. So, you're getting back to nature as well. Can you somehow, because I know you put some posts out in relation to what do you think the world's gone nuts? Do you think it's gone mad?
Yes, it has gone. It has gone bonkers. There's no denying.
It's gone so far left field. I mean, I talked about earlier on, and it's pretty bad that two people from two households can't meet up in their house, and have a meal or drink or even have sex because that's illegal apparently.
I was wondering if you could do it in the car.
Well, apparently it's illegal to do it outside as well. Apparently.
Oh, crikey! Yeah, so we are living in interesting times.
Yeah, don't use that word unprecedented. It's absolute. That should be banned everywhere.
Sorry?
You don't use that word unprecedented. It should be banned everywhere. That word.
Well,
these unprecedented times.
Yeah, no. Interesting times.
They are interesting, but realistically, you as an individual and where you are as well with Dee and everything, and obviously you're in what I would call in a nice safe haven and place, basically back to nature. But it doesn't stop you actually contemplating, which you've done a lot of, I know, because you've been putting a lot of interesting things out, and you've had all sides of yourself exposed to that in a way on social media, from not really in it to seeing that there's something not right here to now actually seeing there's something really badly not right here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, without a doubt. In my mind, we're being fed right across the board unfactual, misplaced, misleading information.
Yeah.
And from that front, me myself and my mind is I guess the frontier that I'm defending is my own mind. So it boils down to that.
I suppose if you lock somebody in a room, and I'm using that as an example, you lock somebody in a room, which is we've all been locked in houses in a way, or not allowed to go out. And then what you do is you mind manipulation through fear porn constantly at these people. It's going to have an effect, isn't it?
Massively, and this is it. This is one of those arguments that I'm using. I want answers to, and that is why is your well-being, our well-being, society's well-being not one of the calculations that have been added up in comparison. This is like individuals and. Like you say, it's just like I went and saw my son earlier today. I haven't seen him for since the beginning. This is the first time I've seen him.
So since March, really, isn't it?
Yeah, he's 17 years old.
I bet it's lovely seeing him, though, wasn't it?
Oh, it was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. Yeah, so I was delighted to see him, and he was adamant we need to keep our distance. I'm chasing people around for hugs, I am, but I do respect people.
In 20 years' time, nobody's going to know how to hug.
Yeah, but this is it. It's the first time I've seen him, and I left more concerned for his well-being.
Yeah.
Than prior. Up to now, I've just been speaking to him, through social media, using the WhatsApp.
Yeah.
And so see him, and then we went for a walk. We went for this walk, but touching base with him, I could see he just didn't know how to behave.
No, I know.
So i.e. walking down the street even. I think people clear their conscience, and they feel perhaps, if you walk down the street and you create a bit of a limp, you walk down the street with a little bit of a limp, and you see someone, you limp to the left and you limp to the right. So I'm thinking of Michael a bit, but yeah, it blew my mind.
But it's because they don't know how to behave, because they have been fed so much shite.
We don't know how to behave.
Yeah.
So you go into the supermarket, what do? If you walk, it's that society itself is, in my mind, is under attack.
Yes, I agree completely.
So in that sense,
it's psychological warfare going on here.
And here's the thing: all the news that I'm seeing, none of it, in my mind, is convincing me that anybody knows what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah.
So my last line of defense is my own mind. If sovereignty exists, then it's your mind. That's the last place that we have.
Yes.
And it's up to us. We can either bite, that's it. That's the last line of defense. And that's what I feel like I'm at the moment.
Because it's almost like we're all in a castle, and they bridged the castle, and now it's coming to the keep, which is your mind. It's you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And you've seen yourself. I mean, people all. I mean, I spoke to my cousin about this the other day on here, but everyone stands and queues in a very orderly manner outside, 2 meters apart. And then walk in, and then everyone does whatever.
No, sure.
I mean, it's interesting. Somebody said to me today, because I didn't even spoke about masks, but when this started, we weren't supposed to wear masks, and now they're saying we must wear masks, if possible, certainly on public transport. Because somebody said to me today, we've had horrendous winds and that. Now, somebody that has got COVID virus or a cold or something, if they sneeze in a ordinary room, it don't go very far, does it? But if you're out in the wind, it could carry a long way, couldn't it?
I suppose so, yeah.
It's the same as we wake up in the morning, our car's covered in Sahara dust sometimes. But I'm probably like you, because I'm finding it immensely tedious by the mistakes and the stupidity of these people, by treating us with contempt, that it's almost boring to talk about, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, but it's also really real, isn't it? It's on our doorstep, and it's here, and it's controlling and conducting our lives.
Yeah.
But the goalposts are constantly being changed.
Yeah, every day.
This is one of the, so it was one of those things. I've been looking at the WHO website very recently, and just it's one of those conversations that I was having with someone that put something up randomly. That it's largely believed that the COVID virus is airborne.
Yeah, but they haven't said that before, have they?
But it's not.
No,
this is it. It's not. It's droplets. So it's not. I mean, droplets, like you say, could carry in the wind. 100 yards perhaps. So. However, an airborne virus can actually live in the air for up to 45, 50 minutes.
Yeah,
it's a whole different ballgame, a whole different beast.
Yeah.
So there isn't, So in this sense, that social distancing, keeping yourselves apart. yeah. I remember, going back, so back in the 80s with the breakout of HIV, and
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I was very young, but I remember it.
And the misinformation that came along was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And one thing, so we literally had people who were suffering, who had HIV that developed into AIDS in isolation wards. And we literally had them isolated. People who were afraid of sitting on toilet seats. It was largely believed to be airborne.
Yeah.
As well, it was this theory that, it was again stated by medics that it was airborne, and eventually we learned that it wasn't.
Yeah.
So it's just, so I'm not saying it, but again, but you're
going to get loads of propaganda, loads of rubbish, and you just know that. I mean, before I come on air tonight, I read a thing that's been put out that actually men in their semen carry COVID. Did you hear that?
Yes, I did.
It's a job to know what to say to that, because, I mean, there's a slow ramping up of infringement on civil liberties and privacy of people, isn't there?
Yeah.
The one thing that worries me is the breakdown of that. Unfortunately, a lot of people are looking at, I'm sure you're looking at the same as me, but a lot of people are looking at it just for what it is and not looking around the edges. Because for one thing to be something, there has to be a lot of things around it. And they're going into stinger mode to go straight into the mind to do what they're doing. But actually what they're doing is eroding your civil liberties.
Mm.
Your liberty to live.
Well, yeah, in one sense it's worse than that, because we're freely just handing it over, aren't we?
Yes.
So there's no resistance. Well, saying that, yeah.
Well, there is people in resistance, obviously, that are in big marches all over America and all sorts against lockdown, and obviously all the march we've had recently and still going on now in relation to the terrible thing that happened to George Floyd. But we are in a what I would call a pre anarchistic stage in our development on this planet, which has been caused by complete eradication of the psychology of people in understanding reasoning, isn't it?
Yes. One of the things that we do have, and I think we should, one of the things we do have is history.
Yes.
History is a huge asset at this time. I think when we look back at history, and I was talking to my son today, who have 3 sons, so this is one of 3. But I was talking to my son today, and he's kind of bitten the bullets. He's kind of like, he's been caught up with it all. Yeah. And he was saying, so what issues do you have with Bill Gates? I said, well, personally, I
don't know him. No.
So I personally, I don't have any issues with Bill Gates. I don't have any. But here's the thing: what I have issues with is society treating governments, or largely governments, where we have this long historical backdrop of things that we can see that have happened and occurred, where we've gone in and we've invaded, we've stolen, we've taken wealth from other people. And we've got all of it. So when you look at the Tories, for example, and their history as well. Again, I'm looking at them in the modern day, where they're saying one thing and then the other thing happens. I.e., our food standards being dropped just before Christmas. They were promising they were going to drop our food standards. And we're looking at just the whole shebang when I'm looking at that. And now I'm expected to trust them with my life.
I know.
And my future, and this is it. For me, that's the. Well, it ain't gonna happen. So that's my starting point.
Yeah.
Is if you know, so if they were presenting me hardcore facts that I can simulate and understand as factual, that weren't constantly moving, then they may be able to win some element of trust from me, not the Tories, but in general. But as it stands, he's moving goalposts and misinformation. And then on the flip side of that,
they're incompetent as well.
That's right, yeah. You know, so on the flip side of that, it's the same with Trump. You know, it's just like he ain't no frigging Messiah and he ain't no savior either. So what we've been, in my opinion, what we've been fed is this kind of mishmash of information, and ultimately, you have to stand in your own mind. You have to stand in your own peace. You have to stand in your own truth.
Absolutely.
And that's what we have. That's got to be our starting point. And take it from there. I watched the other night a movie, and it was the movie of Geronimo. You ever seen that?
Oh, Geronimo, yeah.
Yeah. You know the character.
I do, yeah, Geronimo, yeah.
And it was a fascinating film. And I had, for a long time, I've had a fascination for Native American traditions, and as a result, traveling over there and visiting various reservations.
Amazing people.
Sorry?
Amazing people. And of course, one of the things with them is the fact that their country was taken away from them. And they were lied to.
They were lied to. They were sold a lie. They weren't just lied to; they were robbed and killed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then herded
and fed alcohol and drugs, put into enclaves called reservations, and then the young are taken out for child prostitution. All manner of different things are going on with these people. It's disgusting. It's not, white man goes to the country and takes over. This is the problem I have with Africa. Exactly the same thing. It's not a white country.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's Geronimo. Interesting, again, very fascinating, interesting character. And what you see is this individual, because he stood for his own truth. He stood for his own beliefs. Yeah. He also, he was also a revengeful man. So this revengeful man, because they wiped out his family. They killed his wife and they killed his 2 children.
It sort of would upset you quite a bit, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and rightfully so, right? You know, but however, and what was fascinating about this individual is that he was disliked by the Apaches as well.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but by large proportions. But yet he was also admired, and he was admired because he refused to submit. He was he had this.
He didn't consent.
I just said, watch the movie. It's brilliant.
In a way, characters like that stood on the natural resource of what you're standing on, Earth, and there's no there's nothing within that person that was transferred or changed by the environment they're in. The environment they're in was nature, and they worship nature. So many people have forgotten what nature is. I know where you are. I mean, as I am as well, where I am. It's lovely out in nature. It's beautiful, and you don't need much else, to be honest, really. But white man came there and killed thousands and thousands and thousands, millions of Indians to take over country, promised them, ripped up the agreement, shot them all, and the same with the Aboriginals.
Well, and this is the
And
history.
that talking about your history, that is the history. That shows you what they do. And you can go right up into royal families in the and governments in what they do to control people or hide things they don't want people to see.
I mean, it is happening. You know, that's what we are expected now to place our faith, because it's blind, because the information that we're being given isn't clear.
No.
Never mind what tree you look up. And we're expected to take this blind step of faith.
Yeah.
With
By people that say, trust us, we're here for you. Well, they're clearly not.
Yeah.
They're clearly not, because, you know, as mad as it sounds, and people say, well, why'd you go into such much detail, Clint? Because it's really important, because for 2.5 months, 20 million people could come into this country from Iran, Italy, Wuhan, wherever, and not get stopped, not get temperature checked and nothing. And Monday, tomorrow, they're going to start quarantining people. Well, it horse bolted, is it?
Crazy stuff.
It's just bonkers, you know, and it's you're a very intellectual man, young Mario. And so am I. And we're switched on people, and we've seen many things, and we've all been in difficult situations in our times, and we've been taking the low points and high points and all the rest of it. And we're here, and all of us here this time, to make a judgment within inside ourselves of what you feel is right or wrong. Because, you know, what you're seeing my fear is what you're seeing at the moment with the George Floyd, the terrible thing that's gone on there, but the thousands of people on the streets, in the world campaigning against lockdown and the governments really is the beginning of something else.
But as you know, my background's in magic. Yeah?
It is.
And
it's amazing magic as well, Mario.
For decades, my background, thank you. For decades, I've performed on the streets. I'm a street guy.
Yeah.
I always have been. And now, but during my journey, I've adopted various different practices. I tried all sorts of things, i.e. opening shops, opening theatres, market trading, but I always gravitated back to the street. And this is one of those things that I'm finding right now. What is right now, as a survivor, to be able to survive, we're having to embrace change.
Yeah.
And this is either the change, we're having to embrace change. So, and that's where I'm finding myself is, and now in this incredible location, as you've mentioned, in the country, I'm learning all sorts, building tiny homes, we're foraging, we've got permaculture forest here, there's beehives here, there's all sorts of things going. There's a beautiful location, 155 acres of land.
Wow.
Just outside of, just on the outskirts of Cardiff.
Yeah.
But I can't, all those years of being on the streets and being up here, I cannot separate my heart and my heart's pumping for the city. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And by that, and it's not that I'm missing the city, not by a long shot. I mean, I went into the city today, and for the first time ever, I drove right through Cardiff to go and see my son, breaking all the rules because I went over 5 miles. Daft. But I drove through the city, and I'm looking around me, and I can see concrete, and in this metal box, aren't I? And it's got wheels on it, and I'm rolling along. And, I'm a guy who can normally travel for, straight 12 hours in my van.
Yeah.
Going, and now suddenly I was slightly disoriented. And I was going, what on earth? And I'm looking through the city that I love, and my heart is bleeding for it because I'm seeing it all boarded up, shut up, every other shop.
Yeah.
And then you got people walking around with masks on and so on.
Yeah.
Eventually, I go and see my son, and we eventually went into the park, Lanisham Park, stunning park, beautiful. It's got a bit of a forest in there as well. You can hear all but the contrasts here. Where I'm going with this is the conditioning. So what I'm finding myself now, even though that's natural, I'm kind of returning to green and returning to nature.
Yeah.
And this is I'm learning, a ton of stuff. And so I'm very fortunate in that sense. I've placed myself in that position where I'm able to learn a lot of stuff during this time. However, the environment that, I can see danger just around the corner when I'm on the streets. I mean, I lived on those streets.
Mm.
And suddenly to find myself alienated from that environment.
Mm.
Can you see where I'm going with this?
I completely understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like, we got to sit up. We got to take note. We got to start taking ourselves under arrest and start arresting our minds and rescuing them back from what we've been fed. And start actually saying, well, knowing ourselves, knowing our inner peace, drawing the line and saying, like Geronimo.
Yeah.
And saying,
yeah,
I don't care if the Apache's on the right of me disagree with what I'm saying, because I am not going to bow the knee to this imperial state which is marching over my people and crushing us to death.
Yes, I agree. It's sucking the life force out of people. People that are in business are going to be closed. People that are in work won't be in work. There's a massive recession coming to this country, bigger than the 30s. And what you said there's very true. And I'll tell you why one thing's very true, because me, I like to get out and do events as well. You have something within you as a human, as a soul being, and as a compassionate person. Social interaction with people is so important. Now, you're a performer. And that's a lifeblood to you. I listened to, actually, by chance, I happened to listen to it again. God, forgot his name. Terrible, wasn't it? Married to Sharon Osbourne. Ozzy Osbourne, who's been interviewed by Piers Morgan. I just happened to come across it, and it was playing. Where he was on there, and he's been diagnosed Parkinson's and all sorts of things, and Piers asked him, what are you going to do? He said, well, I'm going to go and perform, because that's what I do. I don't know anything else. That's what I do. I perform. And what if you can't perform? Oh, I will perform. This is somebody that regardless of if you like his music or not, the steadfastness of the person is strategic to the understanding of the balance between someone. I can't wait, probably like you, that the streets starting to get filled again. You can go out and do a bit of magic. I can go out and do a few events, and we can socially interact with people, and we can put a lot of this, the only way to describe it is bullshit behind us that we've been through, to actually come out of a dark place into a light place where we can give something back to people, because we're all carrying things as a performer, as what I do in readings and stuff like that. We all have a gift, and that gift is to bring magic. Do you know what I mean? I'm not using your terminology, but do you know what I mean?
I do, yeah. No, so, as you know, I do readings as well.
Yeah.
Work in circles, but this is one of those things as well. In regards to social interaction, there's an incredible honor, because I also do a lot of circle work.
Yeah.
And when I do my street show on the streets, I considered it to be a sacred circle.
Yes.
And and what I have sometimes is 200 to 300 people who will gather around this area that I'm performing my show. And they're coming from all different walks of life.
Yeah.
And just like a firework, if you're working with fire or alchemy, when you have that fire, and when people own that fire, we're all equal. We're all one.
Absolutely.
And we ought to come in. You might have a firekeeper or fire marshals, as the Americans might call them, but we're all equal. We all have a purpose, and everyone is welcomed, and everyone is one. And that, with it, has healing power. It has healing properties. it will boost our immune systems. So what we have now is people in isolation in these little small rooms, locked away, almost fearing their own shadow.
Yeah,
Of
fearing
course,
to put the TV on.
the very thing that, you know, the very, yeah, and you can see where I'm going with this, is that people, that isolation, of course, is creating a physical, mental, social breakdown.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you know, so but
there is a lot of people. The bow wave, the tsunami after this, will be the immense amount of people that actually would go back to work and don't realise how fearful they've been, and actually find they can't function properly because it's hit into their immune system and into their nervous system, and has actually hit their mental understanding. Do you know what I mean? Like your son, when you say your son, you're walking down the road, but your son is like not quite. I'm not saying he's mental, but he's quite. You know, he's not sure what to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like myself today, jumping in a van and going into that town. I kid you not. I was just, you know, I'm one of these people who I do see things like yourself, and I see things. I also feel things, and on a physical front, I react like, you know, if food is spicy, I love spicy food.
Yeah.
But guarantee the top of my head will be sweating. And I was just, it was the point is, as I drove into that city, I suddenly realised that what was normally second nature, you know, it's like it was very strange. I hadn't long come back from that journey, so that happened today. So in between coming back and cooking a meal and then calling you, I've been processing it.
Yeah.
And it's just been, you know, it's just one of them. I've just become very aware. And like you say, that amplified across a nation, individuals who perhaps who have, who perhaps on the spectrum, or have addictions of sorts, as we all do, but, you know, addictions of sorts, as all those things.
Yes,
you know,
absolutely, completely. And these people within inside themselves, because it's a bit like you've probably seen it yourself when you have a group of people together. They're all and you're teaching or you're doing something with them. They're all watching each other. Who's going to go first? Who's going to say something first? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, it's a bit like people, you know, become very closed in relation to what they do, because a lot of people are too scared to come out, even when they can come out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, I said before that the whole government, all of the politicians in the cabinet and Boris need to be put in the Hague, basically, for war trial, basically war crimes. And you know, realistically, none of them run. I started this program talking about who really runs 10 Downing Street and the Conservatives, and it's Dominic Cummings, obviously.
Yeah.
Because they won't get rid of him. But you know why they won't get rid of him? Because, like history again, he isn't a very nice person. I don't know him personally, but what I sense and get from that person, I don't feel he's got a right agenda. I've watched programs on Dominic Cummings, but
he's got to have something on them.
That's what I'm about to say. He got in there and he made sure that he put his mark in. That's why Siddiq, whatever his name is, the chancellor was removed, because he wanted to put all his people in there. And he has got dirt on all. Do you know what I mean?
I would, yeah, I suspect that, but you know, it's just crazy.
It is. And I mean, you've got one person there that flouts it, which, you know, when you're trying to give a message, you really have to have consistency. And I know that this might seem quite basic stuff, but to the ordinary lay people, I'm not talking about people like us or people listening, But ordinary lay people out there want just to know what they can do. I can walk down this line, but I can't go there. The problem is when somebody actually says, well, I'm going to go and do this anyway. And for whatever reason, you know, and not saying anything, then get caught. Is obviously, you know, people look at that with lots of eyes, aren't they? I'm not a fan of him, to be honest, and what he's done there has been detrimental to the country and to his government. Well, not his government, but the government he serves at this moment in time, which I hope will not be much longer. But going back to your thing, as you're driving through them streets, you like them to see full of people. You like to see people wandering about. You like to see so that you can turn up and say, well, Saturday I'm going to come down and do a bit of a show on the street, you know.
Yeah, well, I find people fascinating.
Yes.
It's a hallmark all the way through. You know, it's one of those things is that, you know, I'm a guide as well as a coach, and one of the things I love doing is helping people discover or step into the fullness of their own dreams and their ambitions and their goals.
And grow.
That's why I teach. That's why I teach magic.
Yeah.
And from that, I discovered my passion as well as magic. But my passion is people. I love people. I love seeing people, like you say. I love carnivals and culture. I love.
I've met you loads of times. You're a fascinating person, Mario. And I know I first met you when I was shopping in Glastonbury, and I must admit, I mean, I'm ashamed. I do a lot of magic in lots of ways, spiritually and things you can't see, but it is fascinating. It's something I like to learn. I said that loads of times. I have to get my finger out one of these times and get on with it, won't I? Jason McCusbro says, his comment has said Donald Trump will soon be unprecedented. And he says reason is the enemy of the state. Whoever's there, they just replace it with someone else, won't they? You know, but underneath all this, you must remember that you know, we're looking at people here. We're looking at Donald Trump, who used to mix with Epstein, used to mix with the royal family. You know, I mean, it's all hand in glove. And I was about to talk about the fact, because I know you've got different rules over there in Wales, haven't you, than in England?
Yeah, but I mean, they're just a week or two behind yours, I think.
Yeah.
You know, ultimately things are changing all the time.
Do you not feel that the way that this is going, what I see in the future, I see the UK completely broken up. I see a Scotland separate, I see a Wales separate, and I see a United Ireland at some point down the line. Do you know what I mean? Probably the last one. Do you know what I mean?
Well, on that front, the benefit of that would be more, you know, from my perspective, is, you know, says I have no problems with the United Britain.
No.
I have issues with Westminster.
Yeah.
And seeing Scotland becoming independent will be a crack in Westminster's walls. And that's why I would vote for independence.
Yeah.
But it's got nothing to do with England and Wales.
No.
As such, you know, you're English. I'm half Spanish, stroke, well, a Welshman with a Spanish mother. I want to see reform. I want to see
things can only move forward, can't they? We can't stay in the dark ages. We're from this. No. We have to step out into something new, don't we?
It's a prehistoric system, haven't we? You know, so it's like, a very fancy dress and coming out with this. Yeah, when it comes down to when it comes down to this whole virus thing, is that even the governments are clearly they don't appear to be consistent or knowing how to lead or do what they're doing.
No, they don't seem to know what they're doing with anything, to be honest. And I think people are just giving up with it, and they just find them a laughing stock. That's why everything in social media with the government is a laughing stock.
Yeah, I mean, in that sense, I hope you're right. I actually think it's going to be a lot longer. I don't think it's going to go away that easy.
No, I don't think it's going to go away that easy, because we're going to have social distancing for years, and now they've got people in the palm of their hand. They will make sure that they can manipulate that in lots of different ways. Do you know what I mean? But
what they weren't prepared for, and what we're seeing is the undercurrent.
Yeah.
Of the, just like the protests we're seeing, like mental health,
yeah,
all these things. Once we begin to realise that there's the normality, what we consider to be the norm, is no longer there.
No, and it's not going to come back like that either.
That unrest is going to continue to boil and grow.
Yeah.
That's why people are going to say, likewise, is
yeah. I know. I'll tell you what, Mary, you've been amazing tonight. I don't know where half an hour's gone. Over half an hour. It's amazing.
We're just having a good old waffle here.
Yeah, but that's what it's about. I don't look. I've done this.
Yeah, no, totally.
I put this show together because it's got to be.
I actually feel like we could be down the pub having a chat together.
Absolutely, I love the sound of that. To be honest, I look forward to that as well. But this is not about hard hitting. It's about having a chat, and people learn more when it's more relaxed and it's not formalized and not structured. That's why I don't have any questions, because it's just how it is.
Yeah.
You've been brilliant tonight. I'm sure a lot of people have taken a lot away. Matthew John says, I will never vote again as it drains your power. We have to stop with trying to fix everyone else's life and just concentrate on ourselves. And it says, he says, if only everyone worked on themselves, the world would change overnight. We should agree it would. But unfortunately, we have many different types of people on this planet. That's the trouble. Now, if people want to get hold of you, Mario, how do they do that?
Well, you can look at my website, and that's mariomorris.co.uk. So it's www.mariomorris.co.uk. That's the easiest way to go.
Fantastic.
Look at my work and stuff like that. So
you're an amazing person, Mario. I have a lot of respect for you, and V as well. Lovely people, and I look forward to I look forward to seeing you in a not too distant future, hopefully.
Yeah, that'll be really good. So that'll be really good.
Yeah, and Matthew John says, Ebb and Flow, nice to hear, Mario.
Great stuff, you Matthew.
And we'll get you on again, Mario. And don't forget, you can go onto this at any point. It'll be on my Facebook. You can move it around, put it into your wall, do whatever you want with it. So it's there anyway. It will be there at the end when we finished.
All right, Glenn.
All right, thanks, Mario.
All right, have a good one. Have a good evening. Thank you very much.
And you, thank you very much for your time. Thank you. All right, bye. Mario Morris, what a lovely guy. Really, really nice guy. Very, very switched on. He's a magician, empowerer of people. He loves people. He really does. I mean, I've spent many, many times with him. Amazing guy. I know that she called just now, another amazing guest. It's all go here on the Inview tonight. We have got coming up here is young Nicola Parkinson, hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you.
It's fantastic to speak to you. Good to have you back. Thank you very much for coming on. I've seen a lot of the stuff you do recently online. I think it's groundbreaking. I think it's different, and I think what you bring, because I remember so years ago when we did meditations and things like that, and the DV and all sorts. Yeah. I can see undercurrents of what's opened up in yourself, in your work, in relation to the spiritual dimensions of what you are. If you like to tell people, it's cool. It's what is it? Cool Kids. It's gone out my head.
It's called Cool Kids with Cool Minds.
Yes.
And cool not being hip and trendy.
Yeah.
Cool being I'm in control of my emotions rather than my emotions being in control of me.
Yeah. And one of the hardest things there, I should imagine, and I think people have probably we could talk for hours about a lot of things here, but if we look at the grassroots of it, people that have been locked down in house arrest in their houses in this crisis point, obviously are in, and maybe they have 2 or 3 children or even 1 child. It's about understanding your child as never before, and it's about teaching them the basics of the mechanisms of their own working, if you like, isn't it?
It is totally that. It's about understanding the brain and understanding the chemical side of the brain, but then also understanding your own patterns of thinking and where those patterns come from, and questioning those patterns as to whether they work for you and do they work for your child, and are you too strict with that patterning and those self-beliefs? Have you even sort of kind of got any self-beliefs? Do you even think about things like that? And it's about going back to those old-fashioned values of respecting your own mind and teaming together your mind, body and your spirit, which, of course, they've been so separated these days in this modern world.
Absolutely. And obviously, talking about patterns, this is very much not just about for the child themselves, but it's actually remotivating, grounding, and realigning the parent, isn't it, as well, in how they interact.
Yes, completely. So it's not about parenting; it's about communicating.
Yeah.
But it's not about how you communicate with yourself and how much you respect your own mind and your own spirit and your own body, and once you sort of do it for yourself, then those patterns within you change and beliefs change, and then your child can see what you're doing, and they can sort of then respect that and then do the same thing. With such an antiquated society,
completely
in Islam, aren't we?
Well, quite a lost society, really, because most people with their children, what they do is in normal time, they come home from school, so they've been at school, the parents working very hard. They come home, everyone spends 2 or 3 hours together, if they're lucky, because the child probably go off play a PlayStation. They won't go for a walk. They won't go on bikes. They won't sit down and talk to each other. They probably won't even sit down having a meal. And then they do all their own different things. And then, somebody goes up and sees the son or daughter say goodnight or whatever, and that's it. That's no social interaction. That's no communication. And, people get into complacency here because it's easy to get stuck into ruts, isn't it?
Oh, so easily. Yeah, it's so easy. You get stuck in the rat race, don't you? Get stuck in the hamster wheel, and you just go round and round and round, and eventually you get into a pattern where you're not even thinking or using your brain, so like I try and liken meditation and mindfulness like self-development. And I try and make people think of it from that point of view. So what have you done to develop your mind this particular year of your life, or any year of your life? Have you... because once we often get into adults, and then people get, like you say, into that rat race, they have kids, mortgages, jobs, all the rest of it, then people automatically think that kind of like brain growth and self-development kind of comes to a grinding halt.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't at all. We should be setting ourselves goals, targets, and where we want to be. Yeah.
And so over lockdown, I've had a lot of nice time to sort of catch up on who I want to take inspiration from, who can help me grow in this next phase of my life, where my spirituality is going, where it's come from, and all the rest of it. And, like even parents don't even need to take on the massive job of inspiring their teenagers.
No.
Parents inspire themselves and so to point their kids towards these people. There's 1,000,001 of them. I've been listening to a guy called Jim Rohn, and he's an American, and he taught Tony Robbins everything that he knew, and he's hilarious to listen to. And it's all self-development, and you stop and think, do you know what, he's kind of almost taking the mick out of himself doing it, but actually he's saying, how stupid do we look, because 95% of society isn't actually thinking about self-development and growth goals.
No, they're just thinking about surviving.
Yes, yeah.
Because they're stuck on a lift on level 2, and they want to go level 3, but they don't know how to get there.
Yes, yeah. So they don't think that there's any tools out there in the huge wide universe of sort of all these different types of inspirational people, from musicians, singers, to spiritual people, to business people. And there are so many types of self-growth that you can do, from creativity to education to anything. And yeah, people just sort of go, oh, you can't be bothered with that.
Yeah, and that actually, Nikki, that is true. People cannot be asked, basically. Oh, I haven't got time to do that. Well, it's really important for your child. No, I haven't got time to do it. Well, in other words, you haven't got time for your child.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people are so superficial and kind of like give up on it, and I'm too old. I'm too old. How many times do you hear that? I'm too old now to learn it.
No one's too old.
Yeah. It's quite sad. And I just think, my gosh, I couldn't wake up any day of my life and not have some sort of inspiration to look to.
Absolutely. You'd never wake up, Nikki, and sit there and in bed thinking, twiddling your thumbs, thinking, what am I going to do today?
Yeah.
So many people wake up, sit there, think, I'm bored. I don't know what to do today, because they're not creating anything for themselves. And the only way, it's only because what we put in. I mean, if you look back in the development of yourself, I mean, every part, even the D of E, even the time of the meditation we've done and everything, is all parts of a cog of where you sit. I'm not saying, but it is, because it opens and expands yourself.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
It amalgamates you into what you are.
Yeah. And you can get inspiration from the people that are around you. So, a lot of people say pay attention to who your friends are. Do your friends inspire you, or do your friends bring you down? And the DFE was just so great, because
it was.
We had such interesting experiences and things to bring to the group.
Off for the radar, didn't
we? We all just grew together.
Yeah. Debbie Johnson says she's worried about children on computer games and virtual reality games, especially at the moment. The problem is this is a bit of a difficult one, isn't it? Because we can't, in most cases, children can't go to school, so therefore they not they can't go anywhere. Basically, they can't go out and play with people. So it's easier to put them in front of a computer screen and you stay there, and you can talk to people all over the world. So there's an interaction, but most of the time, most of these games are about killing things. Do you know what I mean?
They are. They're so destructive, and they hook hook like have got your child's brain.
MK Kids.
Find upsetting and scary is that an adult of a teenager, or any age of child, doesn't think, right, what age are you? Let's look as to who could be inspirational for you out there. And you can have so much time on your Xbox or your laptop, whatever, and then actually we can have a deal where you then spend an amount of time that actually I want you to listen to this inspirational person. And nobody kind of gets that. I was always a curious person, and I wanted to hoover people's brains. I want to hoover the information that people have in their brains. And so I actively have always looked, how can you better my life? How can you better the version of me? And so I've always gone out there and had that sort of nosy curiosity. But it doesn't occur to a lot of people.
Yeah. And the thing is, I mean, there's such a big subject, this, to be honest, because I mean, in relation, because it's not just about children, it's about social etiquette. It's about how we talk to each other. It's how we behave, how family systems have been broken down. But obviously, with the lockdown we've had, they haven't, but they might have been in a different way. So people that don't see each other very often now stuck in a house together, which then causes a tension and causes a strain upon the child worrying about his parents. Do you know what I mean? But there's also the fact that what you're providing is an education that I feel in every shape or form should be taught at school.
I know. And I can't get over that, you know, we think that the academic system is, you know, the best
rubbish.
system. It is so rubbish. It teaches children information and how to program their brain with information.
Yeah.
But it teaches them how to use their brain. And this is what I don't get about human beings. So we've been given a higher brain. So we're higher than mammals and sort of animals and things like that, supposedly. But animals still seem to have more etiquette than we do.
Yes.
So
and respect.
Look at all the looting that's going on.
I know.
And, you know, we end up sort of with this culture, this gang culture, this sort of animal behaviour in which...
Well, I think it's disrespectful to animals. These are delinquent misfits in our reality that are, even if you got a sledgehammer to their head, it wouldn't get in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly,
Because they have hidden agendas. Their agendas are drugs, money, getting drunk, prostitution, all manner of different things. Do you know what I mean? They're not interested in change. They just say you're talking a load of old rubbish. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But to be honest, these people waste oxygen.
Yeah, they do. Yes, they do. And it's so true. You know, the fact that we've got this high brain and there's probably only a small percentage of the world actually sort of use it. And the nice thing is that the small percentage of the world that use it actually really enjoy using it, would never go back to being that sort of to living in that monkey brain that they've got. They just wouldn't want to do it because they found this amazing next level up of the universe. You know, and there's tools out there, you know, everywhere you look, isn't there? You know, from synchronicity to sort of spiritual books to self-development books. There's so many tools out there.
There's so many children that around the world can recall past lives.
Yes.
They can remember, Mum, I used to live there. I fell out of a window, or I got shot down in that aeroplane in World War II.
Yeah.
You know, because they're realistically children up to 5 are untouched. And then they go to school, and that's where the breakdown begins. That's where the fabrication of their life gets eroded, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it does. And they do a very good job of it, don't they?
They do a very good hatchet job, yes. And then we have to hold that we have inside for quite a few years before we wake up and think, actually, this is low rubbish.
Yeah, and that doesn't work for me. And I'm not sure why I've been forced to do it for years on end and compete against all my other peers at school.
This is without the other peer pressures of growing up, not just the education you're getting, because what you do benefits an all-round picture here, but also down to the fact of, you know, people that have been bullied, abused, gone through grief, pain, suffering, loss. This encompasses everything. Do you know what I mean? And if I flew you over to Japan or China, I'll tell you what, and you had a meeting with a big, huge organization out there in their, what you would call their education system, they take you tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Because they're so forward thinking out there. They do meditation. They want people to understand what they're meant to do when they leave there. What we do is we teach people not to understand what they're meant to do when they leave school.
Yeah, to just sit in a job and follow what somebody else
be a sheep.
Basically, be a sheep. And so that's why people sort of question sort of meditation and mindfulness, because when you get to an adult form, you've been so sort of led, and your thinking has been pre-thought out for you beforehand, that you sort of, the idea to go back and sort of discover your own creativity is kind of like, it's quite mind-blowing for some people, isn't it?
Look, journey for yourself has been mind-blowing in relation what you were 10 years ago to what you are now. I mean, you'd never dream where you sit now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's nice to be with those kind of people. And so, you know, you meet these interesting people, like, you know, for me, meeting you and all the other people that were around you at that time. And, you know, we all inspired each other and we all grew together. And, you know, it makes life so interesting and so exciting that you just don't want to stand still. You know, the only certainty in life is change. So you might as well try and sort of govern that you're going to change for the better.
Yeah, but we're in a fast-tracked area now because, unfortunately, down to the massive psychological manipulation of people by people in government that really nobody respects anymore because they're useless, and they don't treat anyone with. We really care for you. No, you don't, because you clearly you don't care about any of us. Do you know what I mean? And you know, you have someone like Mr. Cummins who wrote a lot of the stay at home, save the NHS, and stay alert and all that. Actually said, well, you know, I'm going to go and do this, or I'm going to go and do that, and doesn't matter. I don't care what anyone thinks. Do you know what I mean? And somebody that actually runs the whole government, really, in lots of ways. There's a massive, huge change going on this planet, in this country right now, in relation to people really waking up from a massive daze, to those who are in power that are lie, and I'm talking mega dark things that have gone on, especially with children in this country as well as the world, and those with blood on their hands that need to answer the questions that they've never answered. I'm talking about people like Prince Andrew. It's interesting, the whole royal family, I'm not a royalist, but the whole royal family are vacant at this moment in time. Even put a film on a Prince Charles, which isn't him. You know, it's an actor.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the world we live in. It's all fake.
It is all fake, and the more that they can push that fake news out to sort of keep everybody talking about that fake news away from the reality of what is going on underneath. Like you say, you know, to do with all our children. There are so many spiritual people that have discovered this over lockdown because we've all had time to stop and stand still and pay attention to the world. Because
most people just want to go out and buy things to eradicate the fact of sitting down to look at themselves.
Yes, that's so
you know, because they go,
actually.
I'll go and buy it to make me feel better, even though that, you know, it's like an alcoholic. I'll go to the pub and drink as much as possible so I don't have to remember what it is that I need to look at.
Yes, exactly. I can just blank it out and just delete the pain and get up tomorrow and do it all again. But my God, how much more painful is it to not look at yourself and not examine your own thoughts, your own patterns, you know, and not become a friend to your own brain.
Yeah.
And therefore, you know, discover the spiritual side of life and your own creativity within you. I'm reading a book at the minute called Big Magic, and it talks about, you know, how us human beings are so creative, and it's harder to not be creative than it is to actually let it out and just be creative. But because somebody else thinks you might be a bit insane or a bit crazy or a little bit this or a little bit
a bit
that,
eccentric, or you stand out, you know, you get a lot of jealousy, a lot of envy, and a lot of people attack you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Imagine living on a estate in Merseyside where you feel very different, but everyone around you is your enemy because they're all scared of you.
I know, and then you become a product of the area that you that you live in.
And this comes down to the fact that we're born. Soul comes in the body. We're in the body we're in, and we're brought up only knowing really what we're brought up with, the eyes we see, and what we're brought up by the people around us in.
Yes, and so many people think that is
normal,
their lot in life. Yeah, it's normal. That's what they fit into, so they don't question it. You know, I love questioning life. What can I look for? Who can I find? You know, what direction can we go in? Who can? And it's just so amazing. I mean, you know, like yourself, I question everything. So I sometimes uncover things that I perhaps wish I hadn't uncovered, and I think, oh,
yeah, but you know, they're things we need to look at because it's part of a bigger picture.
Yes, yeah. And even though it ruffles your uncomfortable feathers, you sort of think, no, I've got to do it, because if I don't, I've got to join everybody else, that we all need to do it. And it is, I definitely know which side of the line I'd still rather be on.
Yeah.
No matter how uncomfortable it is.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah.
Can I just say, Debbie Johnson has also said, she's on about computer games earlier on, but she said, my son and grandson have Asperger's and do not feel as if they belong in this world. They stand head and shoulders on their own and cannot lie. They do not follow the crowd. So proud they do not follow. And my cousin Jason says, absolutely. It's very difficult. You just said it just now. When you do stand out and you are different, you are vilified by the pack mentality. By just being different, because they fear it, because they can't be like, I used to, as I still do, but I used to wear crazy clothes, and some people would come up to me and they say, take the mickey and God knows what else, but you just brush it off. You don't get it worry you, because they're only worried about it because they fear can't wear it themselves.
I know, exactly. And it's making, again, it's highlighting something within them. Rather than what's coming out of their mouth.
And all of that one statement sums up everything in life, from sexual gender to how we're educated to how we live life, which the life we had is gone. A new life's going to come, and it's got to be different, because it can't be like it was, because, most people are slaves. Do you know what I mean? They're not actually enjoying going to work. They're slaves. They're doing it for the money, so that they can pay most of their money out in extortionate taxes, extortionate rents or mortgages, and they end up with nothing. And then they have to go to food banks and get food. Do you know what I mean? I mean, what world are we living in? It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And there's one side of lockdown that's seen people's creativity coming out. All the choirs on Zoom. I think I put on my page today a group of children from South America, and their singing was just amazing. And it's been so nice to let people's creativity out. But the sad thing about it is that everybody just thinks that this is something that should be done at a time of low morale within the human race, where actually I want to shout to everybody, see, this is how humans can actually be. We don't have to wait for low morale. And so everybody will put a lid back on it as soon as lockdown disappears.
Yeah, but the Inview will still be here, still shouting out and giving the odds. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and how did you feel the first time, obviously, when you went on Facebook Live? Because you've got no one there. It is daunting, isn't it, when you do?
It is daunting.
I remember when I first did a radio and there's no one there and you've got to do this show.
Yeah.
and you have to imagine the people, and then you get the interaction, and then it changes.
Yes.
But you broke something inside yourself with that. You broke a fear, and you stand in a very solid place with yourself doing it now.
Yes, it takes a few weeks for you to get used to it. Yeah. So you're a little bit nervous. You're a little bit, I was sort of quite serious, and you're not in the flow. Your energy's not quite there because you're thinking about what you look like. Is anybody listening? And then when you're doing a live and you start to get one person listening, and then they go off, and a few people come on and then they disappear. So you end up just sort of kind of, over the weeks and weeks of doing it, stepping into your own creativity.
And you find your way in there. You find your path.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. And it's a good thing to do, isn't it? It's kind of like...
It's empowering. It's very empowering.
Yeah, really empowering. Because it makes you look at yourself differently again.
Yeah.
And you want to be engaging for people, and you want people to engage with your energy. So you dig deeper and deeper and deeper and wake more and more of your energy back up again. Because, some of my energy have gone to sleep because I interact with a lot of people on a daily basis on in my everyday job. And so it's been nice, actually, to be able to channel my energy into a different area of my life.
Absolutely. But you're evolving and growing something, which I think is quite big. And you know, it gets to a stage now, you just do it. You're not thinking about it. It's a bit like, I come on here, put everything together and just do it. You know, it's not a case of, oh my God, what am I going to say or what am I going to do? Just do it, you know, and you have a lot of channels. You're an immensely spiritual person. You have a lot of channel stuff come through when you're doing it as well, which is huge.
It is, and it's nice. And it's nice to, you know, we all know what that feels like. You know what it feels like. You know, you're one of the most interesting channelers that I've ever come across.
That's very kind. Thank you.
But you know, you have one of those gifts and abilities that you can then bring that channeling out in other people. You know, I channel, and I didn't even know I could do it until I met you. You know what I mean? And so this is the power that we all have when we get together, that, you know, is highly frowned upon. You know, people, you know, the governments, the forces and all the rest of it, they don't want people to realise that when you step into that higher consciousness and connect with that power, how amazing it is when you do it in a room full of people, and there's one person in that room that can just then elevate everybody up to the next level.
And it doesn't matter if everyone don't get that, but if there is someone in the room that does get that, then what you find is that people will walk away and it will soak into themselves in relation to what has happened, and there'll be an after path they walk on with themselves where it soaks within them, you know what I mean, and then opens them up.
Yeah.
I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours, you know, Nikki. It's fascinating. I don't, you know, when you do it, you think, God, an hour, half an hour, or what I do 3 hours. How are you going to fit? Well, it's easy because time just flies, particularly when you're talking about immense stuff. And this is not egotistic, not backslapping. It's very much about what you bring, which, you know, we are just ordinary people. At the end of the day, we're not special. We're just ordinary people with gifts and blessings, if you like, that have opened up avenues within inside ourselves.
Yeah. Who want to explore those gifts, who don't want to be afraid of those gifts, who know what a benefit those gifts are, and what an amazing place it is to be able to sort of go and open up to those gifts. And like I say, we're not special. Everybody's got them in them, but just a lot of people choose to put a lid on them and sort of work from sort of a lower consciousness rather than a higher consciousness.
Yeah. You've been amazing, Nikki. I'd love to get you on again in the not too distant future, because there's always so much to talk about. That's the thing. And I mean, I try and make this quite varied with a lot of different guests in all sorts of different ways, and that makes it work. But you've been amazing, and I think the work you're doing with children also is so special. It's so important. This new breed coming through.
I'm not giving up. I'm gonna.
No, we never. That's the one thing we never do, is never give up.
Yeah.
So how do people contact you? Where do they see you on Facebook and everything? Obviously on your Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely. My phone number's on Facebook, my website, my email address. Most people are on Facebook, so it's one of the easiest ways that sort of people can get your details to contact you. So either my personal page, Nicola Parkinson, or my Cool Kids for Cool Minds.
I love that title. That's brilliant. Page.
I just think it's great. You know, it's kind of like we need to come into an era now where our children just aren't letting their emotions getting the better of them, and just empower our children.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we've got to go, unfortunately, Nikki.
Right.
But it's been absolutely amazing talking to you, and
great talking to
you. You bring great energy and vitality and everything, and we will catch up again in the not too distant future, and stay safe, and give my regards to Viv as well. It's his birthday this week as well.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
21, amazing.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, we will catch you soon, young Nikki.
All right. So you take care. Lovely speaking to you.
Thank you a lot. Thanks a lot.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Nicola Parkinson. amazing lady, and what she's doing with kids is absolutely phenomenal. Brilliant guests. You can talk all the some, you know, these guests you can talk for hours and hours and hours with, you know, and you know, people know on this show that we do bend time a little bit and all sorts of that. And unfortunately, I've been a very naughty boy. I'm going to apologise to Teresa because we are 8 minutes over where we should be. So, hello, Teresa Sell. How are you?
Hi, Clint. I'm good, thank you. You?
It's lovely to speak to you. How are you doing in this lockdown scenario and everything else where we can go out but not go out but can?
Yeah, not too bad. It was nice. I saw my family today, so
that's
been able to do
brilliant.
that in the garden. Saw a few friends yesterday, so yeah, it's getting some kind of normality.
That's fantastic. And we've all of us in one shape or form have gone through demons and all manner of different things within inside ourselves in this lockdown in lots of ways to come out to be more re-energized and focused in a way. And that a lot of that is about what's happened with the planets, what happens with the moon and the super moon we've had and all manner of different things, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely been a roller coaster, that's for sure.
Yeah, it has, isn't it? I don't think I want to ride that one again.
No, I do think we're still riding it for
yeah,
a while.
I think we are. And I mean, down the line, they're talking about potentially that, you know, they're talking about second waves, October, November, and all manner of different things, really. And obviously, I mean, you in what you interpreted with the stars and everything, and the charts. I mean, this is a very, very volatile time, isn't it? It must show that within the planets and the stars.
Yeah, and it does. Just you know, things do repeat, and you know, Saturn's back in the place where it was in the First World War. Uranus is back where it was in the Second World War. You know, in the Great Depression, and you know, it's just there's so much going on. There's such patterns repeating in our life. It's really interesting times.
It is. It's also very. It's exciting and dangerous at the same time. It's that combination factor, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, and there's so much like heating itself from really big times, like even. The nodes have moved into the Gemini Sagittarius axis. So they've been in Capricorn and Cancer for quite some time. And the last time they were here was just before 9/11. So, you know, that's another big thing. So there's just so many factors, into kind of play. And, I think the next eclipse on the 21st, which just happens to be right after the solstice, is going to be quite an important time, especially for society and the royal family, because King William was actually born on a solar eclipse.
Was he? Wow.
And so this is kind of like, it's returning to him. So it's rather interesting to see what's going to happen.
Well, I was mentioning that earlier on to Nikki, but I never got there. But I mean, the crests are taken off the palace. The windows are boarded up inside. The Gurkhas are on duty outside. I feel, well, what I've heard on the grapevine is the fact that she is going to pass it over to Charles. But I feel it should go to William, really.
The way astrology is looking, it will go to William.
Yes.
But whether he wants that responsibility, I don't know. But
it's interesting you see that within the stars, because technically I feel there'd be uproar if Charles and Camilla go in there. And whereas I feel William and Kate would fit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, young blood and but
younger views, younger understanding, and a reality understanding on today's issues, social issues.
Yeah, especially with mental health. He's always talking about that, isn't he?
I know. I need to talk to him about my mental health, actually.
But then you've got all these stories about, you know, this other son that's meant to be him coming back, and I'm not sure what to believe on that. I know.
Like is that King John? King John, is it?
Yeah, is it?
I think it is King John the Third or something.
Yeah, very interesting. who knows what's going to happen.
I do feel there's an overload of information, and some good, some not good, some, it's good, bad, or indifferent, really. And I do feel that sometimes there's so much that I think people just wonder what is real.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, but that's what they want us to feel like.
Absolutely.
Well,
but we're not stupid, see?
But I think, everyone's on their own path and opening their eyes to different things, maybe at different times, aren't they? So
and it's important that we have a come together, that we all join, as well, in relation to what we're doing, which I feel is very important. Which, the Inview and all around here and all the people know me is a big family, So yeah. So the stars for the month of June, big month, I should imagine, middle of the year. We've lost a whole year of our life in lots of ways.
So I mean, it is interesting. It is a fairly quiet month in the sense that quite a lot of planets are retrograde, and the most important week this week will be between the 18th and the 27th, because there's a lot going on that week, because we've got Mercury turning retrograde in Cancer. So people need to look back to last July when it went retrograde there, because it's in the same place. So whatever kind of was going on then might feel that the same kind of pattern is going on. But when it's
Mercury retrograde is never good, though, is it? Really, it's about communication.
Yeah, so it's always, communication. There's always hiccups, delays, emails. People can't communicate very well, and obviously things can break down. But depending on whether it's a water, earth, air, or fire sign, we've got those different elements as well. So, like in Cancer, it's a water sign, so it's always tends to bring a bit more rain, which wouldn't be good. So I hope that doesn't happen. But it can bring things like, problems with the washing machine, breaking down because there's too much water in there. Drips through the ceiling, those kind of things. But we need to look at ourselves emotionally and what's really going on, like deep down, why we're, not expressing our emotions, because these things happen to kind of show us that we need to start to express it.
That's very true.
There are good things for Mercury retrograde in the fact that if you kind of go with it, it's good for taking some time out, resetting, revising, if you've got exams and things. It's a really good time to kind of, reset and do all the things, preparing things, clearing up the garden, decluttering. So there can be good points if you make sure you take a step back and relax. If you're rushing forward at 100 miles an hour, that's when things can kind of go.
That's when things could fall over. And realistically, this as well. You do readings and everything as well. I'm sure you tell people all the time, the way to discover what you want is actually to do things slower.
Yeah, and I think lockdown has done that for so many people. I know so many people that are loving working from home and, having that slower pace of life. And some people are deciding to not go back to work full time because they love spending time with their children, being able to sit with them and have breakfast.
Yeah.
Quality time has just been so important.
Which never existed before.
No, exactly. So I think, definitely.
There is good points to it. I must admit, you're right. Obviously, everyone's on the edge of the seat. What's going to happen for everyone and their stars this month? And obviously, it isn't easy doing stars in we are a lockdown scenario, but I feel that, obviously we're not in a lockdown scenario really, because a lot of people don't really give a monkeys anymore, I don't think.
No, I think a lot of people are just carrying on and interesting times. Like the rioting is a really weird thing. Yeah, to me, I almost feel like because people didn't react to the coronavirus, as in rioting, and
there's a lot of pent up energy there, isn't there?
Yeah, it's strange, very strange. Times. It's almost like whenever there's a riot, you've got to look behind what's really going on.
Yes.
So it's important. So, like, the eclipses are really important this month, and of course, the one we've just had is like a trigger for free that we've got on the go. So people need to be aware of that eclipses bring big change, but it might seem dramatic, but it's normally for the better.
Yeah.
So, quite often, eclipses people do pass away near eclipses, pets or, or grandparents. It's quite, you tend to see a lot of passings all at once, and it's normally around eclipses, or people kind of, deciding to split up. That's quite a thing around eclipses as well. So just be aware if you hear a lot of that, that's quite normal. But we might be able to see this one. It's in the morning.
Wow.
So the sun, so it will go dark about, I think it's about 7:12 in the morning. So
Wow.
yeah, that's something to look out for. But yeah, just be aware that the eclipse is the big thing of this month for everybody, really, and Mercury. But I think everyone's just got so used to being in lockdown that Mercury won't really bother people this time around. So let's just get to my. That's good. Really? Okay, so the month ahead for all the signs. And so remember that your rising sign is good to listen to as well as your sun sign. So for Aries, you may find yourself looking back at past mistakes, but you must not dwell and forgive yourself. Take care around the home, as when Mercury turns retrograde, you may end up having to deal with broken down microwave or washing machine. Your planet Mars moves into your sign at the end of the month and will give you an energy boost. The full moon just passed. You might have started thinking about doing a new study or just wanting to book a holiday. The new moon on the 21st, the eclipse, home is where the heart is, and it's possible you might start a new project or business working from home. So don't put it off because of the coronavirus. It's important that you keep going forward with those plans. Someone you may not have seen for a while may pop up out of the blue too. For Taurus, you may be struggling right now to know your life path, and although you may be thinking of a new career, now is not the time to take a leap. Despite feeling restless, hold on a little while longer. You've been keeping your head above water for a while and may feel like everything is getting on top of you. It's okay to tell others that you're not coping or need some help. The full moon, you may have started to sort out finances, and you might have got some help from an unexpected source. The new moon on the 21st, you're thinking about a new study and maybe thinking about travelling in new ways, such as cycling, things like that. Travel may be delayed due to Mercury being retrograde, so plan ahead, and it's likely your car may be needing its MOT or repairing. It's also possible you may hear from a sibling with some happy news. Gemini, if you have a habit you would like to break, then this is the month to do it. You may sometimes feel like you're moving 2 steps forward and 1 back, but keep going. The full moon would have triggered your relationships and put them in the spotlight, and you might meet someone mysterious around this time. Try to play it cool for now and let things unfold naturally. The new on the 21st, look out for new opportunities, especially when it comes to finances and finding a bargain. Mercury is also in the same house when it turns retrograde on the 18th, so be careful with your spending, but you could have a surprise payout or gift. So when Mercury goes retrograde in a house where Geminis have got it, you can sometimes, if you buy things, they undercharge you and things like that. So it's something to look out for.
Yeah.
Or like you end up getting a refund and you didn't really ask for one. Cancer, you may have felt like you're living in a Groundhog Day of late, and it's time to look at things in new ways. Maybe it's time to look at a new career or approach any tricky situations in new ways, especially within relationships. Cancers have had it quite difficult with relationships for quite some time because they've had Saturn and Pluto.
Really? Wow.
In their kind of relationship house. So, but it's within the next year that those things will be releasing, and they'll feel a lot easier within relationships.
That's obviously stirring up things within people as well, quite deep, I should imagine.
Yeah, it can be quite difficult. Obviously, the Saturn and Pluto are affecting people in different ways, but for Cancer, it's been a real kind of with the Capricorns, it's been themselves personally, like with confidence and things like that. But Cancer is relationships with other people, finding it quite difficult, you know. So yeah, you need to put your needs first. The full moon, you may have felt like getting organised, decluttered, and started researching. The new moon on the 21st, you're shining bright and should feel your energy returning. You may be wanting to do something impulsive, have a makeover or a wacky hair colour. Mercury in your first house will help you want to speak out about how you feel, but may at times feel anxious. So have that remedy to hand to calm your nerves, or go and spend some time by the sea. Leo, you'll be able to handle anything life throws at you this month, and you'll be feeling creative and playful. The full moon, you might have wanted to do something new and exciting, or helped a good cause or charity event. You may be feeling confident and flirty, but be aware that you may be looking in the wrong direction for love. The new moon on the 21st, you'll be feeling like retreating. It is a great day to take some time out for you, read a book, have a long soak in the bath, or again, spend time by the sea. Water energy is going to be really important for everybody this month with Mercury going retrograde in Cancer, so spend as much as you can by water. Virgo, you may be feeling like you're getting no time to yourself and constantly putting others first. Make sure that you find time for your own hobbies. At the full moon, things may have got a bit touchy at home, and you may have been looking back to the past. It was a good day to chill out and just watch a good film. The new moon on the 21st puts friendships in the spotlight. You may make some new acquaintances or get in touch with someone from the past. Your ruling sign of Mercury is on your tail this month. If you have a dispute that needs sorting with colleagues, then tap into those planning and perfectionist skills of yours, and all should work in your favour, so keep safe. Libra, any previous risks that you've had with family members, you will now have the chance to be healed and released. You may also be looking at your family history. The full moon on the 5th would have been a busy day of communicating, checking emails, and you also may have got some news from a family member. The new moon on the 21st, your career will be in the spotlight. You may be thinking about new ways to work, or be asked to do something where you are centre stage. Be aware, Mercury is also retrograde in your career zone, so there could be some misunderstanding in the workplace, or it could end up piling up. Scorpio, you may be feeling a little bit irritable with neighbours or a friend that refuses to see your point of view, and could feel like needing some space from intimate partners. The full moon has you thinking about finances and boundaries, and you may also be thinking about purchasing a new car. The new moon on the 21st has you in a meditative mood and maybe want to get away somewhere exotic. Spend some time on your own by the sea or in the woods if you can. Your ruling planet of Pluto is asking you to be patient with your plans. Now is the time for setting seeds. Sagittarius,
Lovely sign, that is.
Your psychic powers are enhanced this month. So if there is something you wanted to learn or dig deeper about, this is the month to do so. The full moon on the 5th may have had you feeling energetic and able to express yourself clearly and thinking about changing your image. It's time to let go of anything holding you back. The new moon on the 21st may bring some positive news in relation to property or finances. Make sure that you make the most of this month by exploring new hobbies and interests. Capricorn, you do not always like being centre of attention, but might find yourself in the spotlight this month. You're feeling a lot more optimistic and confident than you have in years, so enjoy it. The full moon on the 5th, you may have felt like retreating and meditating. It's a great time for self-care, and treat yourself to some luxury right now. The new moon on the 21st, you'll be thinking about romance, and it's a great time to go on a date. Obviously, social distancing.
Yeah, and obviously, don't go back to their house and be on your own with them.
Exactly, because you'll get fined. I mean, it might be worth getting fined for, but...
Well, it might be, yeah, well, it could well be.
Just be aware that Mercury is turning retrograde in your relationship zone. So you might meet someone exciting, but it's possible it might not last. Aquarius, you may be procrastinating this month and overthinking some of your actions. You're going through a reset, so be easy on yourself. It is important that you go with the flow this month and trust all will work out as it should. The full moon on the 5th, you may be feeling sociable and may have done some kind of teaching or bringing a group of people together. The new moon on the 21st, you're in an organised mood, and it's a great time to break a habit or start a new exercise regime. Pisces, you've been working really hard recently and constantly worrying about the future. This month, make sure you make some time to get creative and have some fun and go with the flow rather than pushing ahead. If single, consider who you have in your life already, where there is a spark already between you, as they could be partnership material. the full moon on the 5th, your career may have been in the spotlight, and it was a good time to reassess your goals or apply for that new position. So this energy is still carrying on. So it's a good time this week to think of that if you're thinking about going forward work. The new moon on the 21st, you'll be feeling flirty, and it's a great time to have a mini adventure, to do something new and different.
Absolutely. Socially distancing, of course.
Yes, of course. So quite, I mean, the biggest thing is the eclipses really this month. Other than that, it is quite a gentle month, but it's almost like we're going to get big pings of shocks, maybe,
It's interesting
that are going on around us.
Yeah, it's interesting that happens on the 21st of June. It's a very powerful day, isn't it? With the equinox.
Yeah, and it is generally. And just to point out as well, when we do have the solstices, some people's immune system can be lowered, so you can feel like you're more likely to, your hay fever could be worse. You might be feeling a bit dizzy. I quite a lot of people that have nosebleeds that are around the solstices or the equinoxes. So just be aware that as the earth tries to balance, our bodies do as well. So, and with the eclipse, literally the day after, it's quite a powerful time, and obviously it marks midway of the year as well. And this is, the eclipses, Cancer was in January, June and December, so it's a big year of clearing and resetting. So even though this is out of our control with the coronavirus, it's kind of like we needed to all slow down this year and clear what we no longer need. And I think a lot of people realise that the people that they want in their life through this period, that they find out who their real friends and family are, and I think that's been important for people as well. So
I'm gonna probably ask you a $64,000 question, but you've obviously looked at this because you go into great detail. Down the line, do you see what do you see going from now to the end of the year in relation to what's going on the planet with COVID? A lot of people saying it's going to be another lockdown and everything, sort of October, November time and everything. I already at the beginning. October is a massive month. We've got Mars going retrograde in its own sign, so that is big. Yeah,
it's pointing to something connected. So it's either going to be a second wave of coronavirus or something else that's out of our control. Some people are saying there's going to be solar flares, that are going to affect us and be really out of our control. But it's definitely, we're still on this roller coaster, and unfortunately 2020 is that year. And I've always said that. I mean, some people are like, 2020 is going to be amazing, but I've always said it's not. It's like, this is the last year of, since I've found 2018-19 this year is a real lots of stuff happening for everybody. Nobody knowing where they're going, who they are, kind of like resetting themselves. And this is the last push really this year. But we've got to change. It's so sad to see that people are going out to the beaches and leaving all their rubbish.
I know. That's absolutely terrible.
I know. You think they would have learned something, and it's and it's the same with this writing. It's
I watched something there which was in Bristol where they were pulling down a statue. I can't remember the person's name. And then throwing it in the water, and they're jumping on it like demented animals.
It's
and obviously out in America, probably is happening here as well. You've got such a vast amount of people that the fringe element to it are there looting shops and God knows what, aren't they?
Yeah, and the thing is, there are a lot of people that are peacefully doing it, but then you've got these other people that are actually being paid. They're being paid.
I know. I've seen that myself. They're being paid £25 or something. I've seen.
Yeah, and it's again, that's why we've got to look at what's going on politically over there. I've seen what's going on, but it's up to people to have a look and make their own decision. But what the smoke screen is, it's a bit of a smoke screen.
I think a lot is at the moment. And there is just an avalanche of information. It's not just COVID, it's Madeleine McCann, it's the rioting, the looting, and you know, as well as many other things that are going on as well.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton thing being in court, and a debate is going on in court, and it's like,
well, Bill Gates as well is going through a court.
So, you know, we've got to look deeper at things. But if we stepped away from media, we'd be okay.
I know. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. The problem is that people, like the stars, people need guidance on the earth reality as well, don't they? And you know, if you manipulate people through a box in your room, and get them so fearful that they won't go out, and also at the same time blind them so they screws their head up, which is what they're doing. You know, people don't. If you ask somebody what they're meant to be doing at the moment, they wouldn't really know.
Well, I know, and remember how quickly the narrative on the media's changed from coronavirus to all this, you know, all of the rioting and looting.
Yeah.
They don't really talk about the coronavirus anymore.
No, they don't.
They've changed the narrative. So you know, they're causing a divide. You know, we're not really that divided, and it feels like we're being made to have a divide. Yeah, it's really sad times. It's made me quite sad actually last week.
It is, but you know, then the stupid rules they bring out, and I know I'm just talking to lay people out there because a lot of us think what a load of rubbish. But joking apart, you can go out and meet 6 people, but you can't actually meet one person and go back and have a meal or have a cup of tea or a drink, and you can't have sex with that person either. And even tonight, as mad as it sounds, I see something where they're saying men's semen carries coronavirus.
Oh, that's been going around for a while, hasn't it? But yeah, that leads me to because Franklin Roosevelt was he Prime Minister?
He was President Roosevelt.
President. And he actually said, because this is where Uranus was the last time, and he actually said a quote of, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Yeah. And I think that's very true right now. Yeah. So, I think that's...
But it is about keeping people apart constantly, isn't it? And you know as well as I do, because you love going out to events like me. I mean, you know, there's no real guidance on when we can go back out. There's no real guidance on how it's going to happen. And you know, us that are here, we do a lot in what we're doing in online and things like that. But we're all needing to get back out there and socially interact to help people, because there's going to be a tidal wave of it.
I just don't know how it's all going to pan out, really.
Or the spaceship might come down and we all go home.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
That would be interesting, wouldn't it? You'd be doing the stars on Venus or somewhere.
Yeah, that would be quite nice, actually.
Sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah,
it does.
Oh dear.
No, I don't know. We chose to be here at this time.
Yes, we did, and yes, we did. I agree.
Things have got to get better, and I think, you know, whenever things have happened in the past, I just, you know, in the First World War, I mean, the 20s, people loved the 20s, didn't they? And the same after, you know, the Second World War with the 50s and 60s, you know, it's almost like, you know, bad things happen, but then good comes eventually. But we all need to look out for each other, and I think that's really important, isn't it, right now?
And we need to respect each other as well. That's a really important thing.
Yeah, definitely.
You've been amazing, young lady, as always. Thank you very much. You come on every month and give us the stars of the month. It's absolutely fascinating. And it's the only time I sit quiet for a whole time. But as I say always, please share that to my wall so people can link into it at any point. And obviously, if you want to catch up with Teresa Searle, you'll tell them exactly how they can do that, because you have a plethora of gifts that you do yourself.
Thank you, Clint. So I've got my website is www.intuitsoul.co.uk. I'm on fb.com/intuitsoul. So I'm available I'm doing readings online and email. birth charts, adults and children. I'm just starting to do compatibility and the year ahead as well for people.
Wow,
So
that's brilliant. What a great idea.
Yeah, so, and I've got a few things. I'm going to start doing ones outside, combined with like an actual mindfulness walk. So I'm going to try and sort all that out this week.
Wow, that sounds brilliant.
Yeah, I'll get there.
Yeah, I think it's phenomenal. I think what you do is amazing, Teresa, and I'm really, really grateful and privileged you're part of the Inview. It's really, really good. And and you know, yes, we will catch up in a month's time.
Will do. You take care.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Teresa Searle, Inuit Soul. What a lovely lady she is. And comes on every month and gives the stars for the month and everything. And they're fascinating. And you know, astrology is a fascinating subject. I haven't fully gone into it fully, but you know, you can see what's happening on the planet with people, with the earth itself, in relation to the changing patterns, in relation to what's going on with the changing planets around us. So we are running late as normal. That normally happens on this show. We are going to try and get hold of Jo Dupfield now. If she's listening, she may ring us. If she's not listening, I would try her on her Facebook. Oh, and here she is. She is listening. Hello, is that Jo?
It is.
Hello, Jo. Thank you for listening. I was just thinking, how am I going to contact you?
Oh, bless.
How are you?
I'm good. I was listening to Teresa, and yeah, she's great, isn't she?
She's fascinating. Absolutely. Well, all of you bring something that's really special. You know what I mean? In this time of uncertainty. But yeah, she's very, very interesting. Well, all the guests are interested in lots of different ways. You'll bring something different. Do you know what I mean? Just like yourself. And you're a busy person as well. You're on all over Facebook and all over the place doing things, aren't you?
I am. It's a busy time. It's been a very strange time. I was very reluctant at the beginning to get drawn into it all, but then I saw people struggling, so I started doing free meditations every day through my Facebook page for people. Yeah,
I've seen
and
them.
It just took off really well. I think it was about 50,000 people at one point that it was reaching, and it went massive. And people, the messages I got were people just needed something that.
Well, I think you're right, because
them, you know?
they need something to grab hold of to give them some form of hope, because the insanity that we're in has created massive blockages within people for them to actually try to find a way out, to open a door, doesn't it?
Yeah, there is it's been a huge time for awakening.
Yeah.
And there's still a lot of people asleep. You've only got to see the crap left on beaches to see that.
Oh my God, yes, I know.
There is an awakening that's happening, and the thing that I've found is that same as Teresa said, people are examining their lives, and the work that I'm doing, and I'm not working very much. I'm doing mostly free stuff, but I'm doing the odd session one-to-one via, online of regular clients.
Yeah.
And the thing that everyone's finding is they just don't know where they're going now. They're not in their bodies. The thing that this whole setup has done is made everyone come out of their body. People aren't grounded because everything feels so uncertain for them.
Is that? Do you think that's because they've had to pull themselves out of themselves to stand in the reality?
I think that's very, very true. And the way that Spirit is showing me it is that, well, you'll know because you shamanically, is that soul fragmentation.
Yeah.
And there's this weird duplicity that's happening. God, there's so much I can tell you, but what's happening is there's been a soul fragmentation, but it's more on it's almost like a global level that all our souls have been fragmented. And on top of that, there is a timeline split that's happening. So there's two possibilities for the way that this is all going to unroll and unfold. And our souls have been fragmented because we've hit this wall of uncertainty and fear, and that's basically what's happened. And what Spirit meant for this to do, to my understanding, is to bring us all together and make us feel how connected we are. But actually, the darker side is that what the powers that be are trying to do is show us all that we have to be separated. You know, we can't touch, we can't go near each other. So there's an awakening that's happening with this shift of awareness that was meant to show us all how connected we are, that, you know, I sneeze and 10 people get my cold.
Yeah.
But actually, you know, the forces and the energy that run this world, and I don't believe that they're in the light, to be honest with you.
No, they're not in the light at all.
They have done everything they can to build a wall between that togetherness. You know, seeing those people come together in protest, and I've, like Teresa, I found it very upsetting.
Yeah.
I said to my husband, it's really weird because we're in a bubble here down in Somerset.
Yeah.
And especially us, because my husband and I, you know, we have shielded big time. We just, not even from COVID, I think just from everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
We just didn't want to get sucked into it all.
No.
And it feels like I'm living in a different paradigm, a different timeline.
Well, it's a very bad B movie, isn't it?
It's just bizarre. You see people that are going through these protests and this pain and this fear and this horror, and it feels like they're on a different planet to me. Yeah. I don't feel like it's the same timeline that I'm running on.
No.
And I think that's the danger of it, is that there's going to be people like us that are disconnected. I mean, we should all be connected about people's lives mattering. We should be. And we should all be against racism, and we should all be against all of the connotations and all the different aspects of that.
Yeah, but is this a pent up thing in relation to these riots? Because
I think what's driving it is the fear and the anger and the frustration that everyone's felt about having their lives put a big stop on it.
Because would it happen if it was a white man?
Well, I'm not even going to get into that.
No, I know, but you know, I don't think it would. Do you know what I mean? It's that
energy that's driving that.
Yes.
The way that Spirit showed me is that behind all of the governments of the world, behind all the powers that run our infrastructure and our world, there is a dark energy within that.
Okay? There is.
And there is a dark energy that's been driving it, and it might be of this planet and it might not be of our dimension or our world. I don't believe it's of our world. And I think that dark energy has been empowering all of those people that are in power. And I say in power in inverted commas.
They're not in power at all.
They haven't got the power. And what's happened is that dark energy is actually pulled away from the earth.
Yeah.
That dark energy is
left them to it.
Power. They've left them to it, and they've had to come up with some way of controlling us all because they're no longer powered by that dark energy. Look at Boris Johnson, right? Look what an absolute shambles that whole setup is. There's no power. There's no influence.
There's no Boris. There's no Boris. Where's Boris?
There's nothing. There's nothing. Look at Trump. There's nothing there. All that energy that was powering them, empowering them, trying to control the earth, it's gone. I promise they have left them. And the way that Spirit showed me is there is this dark smog all the way around the earth. There are angels surrounding that, and they are trying to clear it fast. The ley lines are contaminated, the energy lines are contaminated, because it's time to clear all that crap and shit out of the earth.
Yeah.
And so it does feel difficult, but you know what? There is something coming. It's like a tidal wave. I can feel it. I've felt weird for about a week now. And I can feel this tidal wave coming where it's all going to be shifted. And I wonder if that is with this next eclipse, because people have had enough. Everyone's had enough.
They've had enough,
yeah. See this uprising, that people are realising they have the power.
Yeah.
You know, we have the power. We do. We so do.
Yeah.
And the authorities know it. It's just that we haven't all realised yet. You know?
And the British people are quite apathetic. So they're not people that normally would be up in arms and all sorts. But now they're out there demonstrating, which I feel,
and this
yes.
won't be the only one. This won't
no,
be
this
one.
is the beginning.
More of these uprisings coming. There's other reasons that we should rise up. There's other reasons that people should be pissed off.
Yeah, I agree.
We've been suppressed and we've been controlled and we've been made to be fearful for too long now. And we're going into the age of Aquarius. You know, it's the age of enlightenment, the age of awakening, and realizing your power. That is the key.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with everything you're saying, because I do agree that nobody in power has any power. I do agree totally that I feel that whatever's had them as puppets has drifted away quite a bit from it. It is called shadow government, but they're on another planet. I do feel the Earth, to a degree, is a manipulation by extraterrestrials in a way. That sounds mad, but extraterrestrials
No,
can.
it doesn't sound mad. Do you know what? The way I'm shown it, it's not that they're extraterrestrials, that they are interdimensional.
Interdimensional,
They are living in a parallel universe to us, and we all do it. I actually watched a timeline shift the other day in my own home, in my own life. I was watching telly, and I was watching this program, and I was listening to it, so I know what they said. And all of a sudden, there was a pause. I couldn't hear anything, and it felt like 5 minutes. It was probably 4 seconds, and suddenly everything started again, and the bit of telly I just watched, like the last 30 seconds, replayed.
Yeah.
And there was a pause and a reset, and this is happening all the time now. These timelines are all coming together. There is going to be a whole new way of us experiencing life.
Yes.
That's how I'm being shown it.
Yeah. Jan Cardi says, I feel the same, that there is something shifting and something else coming. There is definitely something else coming, but as Teresa warns, and I do tend to agree with her, that we're not out of the woods. Yes, we are going through the shift, but this interdimensional war that's going on between light and dark, like Star Wars, it's going on all the time on our planet with people, inside people.
Yeah,
I do.
You know, I work with that. I'm a member of the Spirit Release Forum, and I'm the only one actually that's a member without a doctor in front of their name.
Yeah.
That this is a group of intelligent, educated people who see what dark energy to people's lives.
Yeah.
And it you know, without going into great detail of it, because it's a complicated subject and it can be quite controversial. But there is an underground of darker energy that runs through our lives.
It does. Yeah. I agree.
You know, if people aren't empowered, and you can look at it however you want. You can look at it as fear energy if you want. It's probably an easier way to look at it.
Yeah.
But it runs through our lives, and if you are not complete in the shamanic sense, if you are not power-filled, then nature, the universe, loves to fill a gap.
Yeah.
So it will fill that space in your body that where you've given away power, where you've given away your strength, or you've had it taken away, the universe will fill it with something, and it will fill it with the thing that's nearest to you.
Yeah. And I'll tell you something, you'll know this, and I'm sure everyone out there listening will know it. This is not just now. This is not just now. This is from the time you are born and your soul comes in the body. And we all knew this was going to be a tough call. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it has been. This has been a tough journey for every individual that's waking up, that has, like, everyone has gifts, blessings, whatever you're going to call it. But there are people, I mean, if you said to me 20 years ago, I'll be doing this, I wouldn't believe you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's a calling you have inside, like you have, like that's a driven enthusiasm by actually not being affected by anything anymore, because we've walked through the shadows of our initiations to come out and unfurl our wings. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm doing I've actually got my own radio show that's starting.
I've heard
in June,
this,
yes. Yeah, and the show I called it, where the lady that I'm working with, the radio station, she come up with it when I told her what I wanted to do, and it's all coming out of the darkness. But what it's about is the hero's journey. So it's exactly what you're talking about, where you come out of your normal life, you're nudged to face something or go through some kind of trial, and then that leads to some kind of initiation. And then you have to face your fears in the darkness, but actually you find the treasure in it, and then you've got something to bring back to the world, and your life changes. And we all go through that more than once in our lives. And I think it's so inspiring when you listen to other people's journeys, and I have to use that word because that's exactly what it is.
It is.
It's that path that people follow, where you can have two people that have grown up in exactly the same way, and they face exactly the same trial, but they will both come out in a different way. One might use that to propel them or to find the treasure in it. The other one will need support and help, and it might break them. And I just find it fascinating how people are navigating their lives. And like you say, particularly now, you can look at two people, one will adapt and one will find a way to cope with it and live with it. The other one will be broken and come out with some kind of PTSD. And, you know, as individuals,
but all these things,
how much power we have.
Yeah, all those things, PTSD, autism, Alzheimer's, dementia, all these things didn't exist years ago.
Yeah, it's true. And well, it's all different names for different things, and to help people give it an identity. But that's the worst thing you can do when you have an illness. Is I have such and such. It's part of who you are, and it's part of your identity. It's part of your beingness. And
look, you know as well as I do, many of us had enforcement upon us on our journey on this planet,
of course,
in the skins we're in, to not be the person we are, but not knowing that at the time. And then we had to go through the dark night of the soul, if you like, to come out to be the people we are, which was an involvement and growing, which never stops. Debbie Johnson has put a comment, says, jumped out my skin yesterday as a magpie went mad outside my window trying to get in. Luckily the window was closed. She says she feels worried.
Don't feel worried about magpie. Magpie is a wonderful totem. I work with it myself. Magpie is a wily bird. They always find a way to survive. They're survivors, and they're super intelligent. And actually, as a symbol of goddess energy, the magpie represents wisdom, and the magpie represents agility and resilience. No, I've had the same thing where I've had a magpie trying to get in the window, but my window was open, and I had to shoo him off. But I took that as a massive big tick from goddess and spirit.
He was probably drawn. He was probably drawn by the silver rays, the glittering rays that Debbie Johnson carries, probably.
Yeah, it's a powerful totem, that one. Yeah, really.
So
good.
your radio show, when does that start?
Well, the radio station launches on the 13th of June, and my show is going to be on Friday night. I think my first one's the 18th.
Wow. Brilliant.
18th of June. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm a bit nervous, but you inspired me to have a go.
Well, why not? I'll come be a guest. I'll come be a guest one week.
That would be really cool. I'd love that.
That'd be brilliant.
It's about inspiring other people, because especially at the moment, because everything's so concentrated and we're all so deeply in our own lives right now. If you can hear how other people get through tough times, I just think it's so inspiring. And the thing I want to spread is hope. Because, all the time, and Teresa said it as well, when you watch the media, they just take away your hope, they take away your power. What about if we just said, bugger them, I am who I am, my life's actually quite okay, I'm strong, I'm fit, and even if I've got things wrong with my body, I can do something about it, and actually that person did it, so why can't I do it?
I agree.
And
I totally agree.
Ways of getting through it,
But I watch it because I want to see what garbage they come out with, to be honest. To look at the connection of what they're connecting to in this reality. It's not negativity what gets broadcast here, it's the truth. And truth is the key, because if things are not right, I'm going to sit here and really rant about it until somebody notices. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And the thing is about the truth. The truth is subjective, all right? It can be the truth to you, but other people might not believe it.
I agree. Completely agree.
But Buddha said the truth only has to be believed by one person to be realize that they have the power to create the lives they want for themselves. You don't have to buy into the narrative of what everyone else is doing or saying, or anyone even telling you it's possible or not possible. And it's okay to look at your life and feel it's okay. I said to my friend not very long ago, why on earth do you watch the soaps? I can't bear them. Why do you watch them? And she said, it makes me feel better about my own life because their lives are so bad. I mean, what an awful way to... That is
awful. That is awful. But the problem is
I think a lot of people do it.
Yeah, but there is thousands of people, if not millions, watch soaps to actually, some to escape reality, some to do exactly what she's saying, but others to think their life should be led like it as well, which changes patterns of behavior, moods of behavior in our reality.
But I think everyone should ask themselves, especially now more than ever, how do I want to feel in my life? Regardless of what you want to do, where you want to be, how do you want to feel? How do you want to feel when you wake up in the morning? Do you want to feel excited about the day or hopeful about the day? Do you want to feel free? Do you realise you have freedom and choice, or are you telling yourself that you have no freedom and choice? Because you have freedom and choice, and regardless of money, money's just energy. Money pays the bills and keeps the roof over the head. But I've worked with clients who are VIPs, who are royals. I've worked with people with more money than you can shake a stick at, and they're some of the most trapped, powerless, and miserable people. Right? It's not about money. Money helps. I'm not saying it doesn't. I've been 5 days away from losing my home years ago, so I don't say that from a
we've all been there.
No, and I experienced being homeless in my teens. So I don't say it from a place of not knowing. I say it from a place of knowing that it's actually, number one is your health. Number two is, how do you want to feel? And you can create that feeling. You might have to make compromises. You might have to make changes. You might have to put up with some difficulties. But don't feel disempowered in your life. No, you can make it what you want to make it.
That's why you wake up like yourself, like me. I wake up in the morning, think really excited. What am I doing today? I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm doing this. I don't wake up as many people do. And this comes down to an education factor with inside the mass. I'm bored. I don't know what to do.
I think it's a switch in polarity where you've been taught all your life to conform, to follow the rules, to live your life in a certain way. But actually, your life will be the way that you look at it. So if you want to look at your life, I mean, I could moan about lots of things in my life, but I choose not to. This is my point.
Because it's negative energy. We carry positive energy. I don't look at anything negative. I even in negativity, I'm looking for something good to tell people about the negativity. Because
this is the thing is there's a lot of energy within the New Age movement, which we're kind of coming out of now.
Which I feel is a load of bollocks, if you excuse my French. New Age is old age rehashed. I had a shop in Glastonbury. I got sick to death of people coming in my shop and saying, wow, look at this New Age thing. This is immense. It's going to be amazing. And, you know, it's wrong. Do you know what I mean? I know that they have energy and enthusiasm towards it. But look, you know yourself. You've been doing this a long time like me and like many people out there. Spirituality itself was not... It's huge right now, massive. It's multi-billion, trillion-pound organisation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I did my shamanic courses and all sorts of that, there was about 2,000 sites on the net, and now there's like 1.5 million sites on the net for going to train to be a shaman or whatever, because it's become fashionable and it's become something that people can go into and manipulate. I do a lot of work online. I do a lot of work on a international psychic line. And there's a lot of people on there that are not what they seem. They get some cards and they think I can do this, you know, but you end up damaging people. You know as well as I do, there's a strict protocol of working with people. There's a discipline and above all, your life does not come into the remit of theirs, which means that you become a mirror in front of them. And within that there are strict protocols and guidelines in there that you do not cross. And obviously you tell them as it is. You know, you tell them as it is. Whatever you get, you tell them. You know.
Yeah. I never read it anything, but I think what can happen and what has happened is, you know, the point is, and my guide's shouting at me to say this, is that we have to take responsibility for our own lives.
Yes.
And what's happened so much with card readers and tarot readers, it's changed the business of, you know, going to see the lady down the road who done tea leaves, who would tell you whether or not you should leave your husband, or, you know, give you a good talking to while she was talking over the tea leaves, or the tarot reader. And the tarot is the tough grandmother. That's what the tarot does. It doesn't mince its words.
Yeah.
It's making sure you're taking responsibility for your own life within that. You know, no tarot reader, medium, or healer can change your life. Only you can change your life. They can walk with you. They can walk through the dark with you. They can sit in the dark with you. But they can't take responsibility for your life.
Has come to me before. I say, well, it's lovely because, you know, it's lovely to come back because I'm on the journey with you. I'm in your passenger seat. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. And this is what's so important is giving people their power back. And I should think a lot of people are turning to psychics and mediums for support right now because it's so uncertain and people are worried they can't see a path through. But I let you into a secret. I'm asking my guides what's happening and they're not telling me either because it's so uncertain. It's like, actually, do you know what? What about if we just let you walk on your own for a minute and you navigate it on your own and use your own GPS?
I completely agree with you. And the fact is that, that's initiation tests that we have to walk with ourselves. What we do see, we may not see right now, but I mean, I do get very strongly, I've already spoke about it with Teresa, but I do get very strongly psychically that end of October, November is not a good time, that I feel that there's going to be something.
I'm getting something slightly different. My guys are telling me that August is going to be another wave of disease.
Yeah.
And that's going to be challenging and to be ready for that. And then October, November are going to be, it's just going to slightly change. I don't know whether the disease changes or it's mutated, but it feels like it's slightly different. And I think it's going to be worse than, I don't want to be depressing, but I think it's going to be worse for people during that time, as in the illness side of it. I think it's coming back with a bit more of a bang to it. And that's the way, I mean, Spirit have told me not to do any one-to-ones in person or otherwise until next year.
Yeah.
Certainly not. I won't be having clients in my home, that's for sure.
No.
Just because, and I think it's more to do with the energy than the disease, to be honest. It's just that everyone's carrying this fear energy and, it's not something that is very easy to manage when it's your home that people are coming into.
I completely agree. Can I say, Jason McCousin has put a comment on that says, it all started from China for a reason because it will and probably has almost no relevance. If it started in the US of A or Russia, would have carried on. The net has opened minds, so control takes, and he hadn't finished that. Control takes over, I suppose. I don't know. Yeah. It's I think however it's formed, there is COVID-19 out there. It is part of the family of flu viruses. But there is a case of people saying, well, it came from this, came from that, or it's man-made.
It's kind of a moot point, and it's irrelevant at this stage where it come from.
Yeah.
It's how we now take responsibility for our lives and how we. Because isn't it interesting, right, that we all see this disease as this invisible threat that could grab us at any time.
Well, it's not.
That we're all living in this. Well, I say all of us, a majority of people are living in this fear of it's going to grab them, it's going to get them. Yeah. And if you think about that just as a mechanism for controlling people, it
works. It works.
It's ingenious.
Yeah.
And it separates people as well. If you wanted to control a population, you couldn't invent something better.
No. That came out of the darkest recess of Dominic Cummings' mind. It did.
It's just, when you think about it, it's extremely clever, and all these civil liberties that have been curbed, all these new laws. I mean, you couldn't make it up.
You couldn't a 5-year-old. Some of the stuff. I mean, the one thing that really got my goat on Monday was the civil liberties of actually two people from two different households. Sorry, one person from two different households not be able to meet in one of their houses, have a drink or a meal, or have sex. They're telling you can't have sex. That's what they're telling you.
They're telling you that. And I mean, God knows, if you've got symptoms of it, please don't go out and give it to anybody.
Yeah.
But at the same time, let's see what the effect of all these gatherings over the last few days have, because I suspect that infection rate won't go up that much.
No, I don't think it will either.
I suspect that most of us have built up immunity, because they've now confirmed today that it's been here since December.
Yeah.
They found the first patient who caught it in a ski a ski resort, and that was in December.
Yeah.
So, you know, oh my God, it was there and we didn't know. Oh my God. So it was there for 3 months before we even knew what it was.
Yeah, but don't you
So
think?
now
Don't you think
know,
it's been? Look back on your life, and look back at the time you've really been ill, when there's been something like this there that's obviously very bad. I mean, I in the past I've had terrible, absolutely horrendous flu. Knocks you right off your feet.
I've had pneumonia twice. I had pneumonia. One time I had pneumonia, they said to me, I may have only had 24 to 48 hours to live. They thought I had Legionnaire's disease. I was so ill. I mean, you get extremely poorly. And let's face it, people die from pneumonia. And, you know, over 40,000 people now have perished because of this horrible, horrible disease.
Well, that's the figure they show us. That's not with the care homes on top. So it's probably about 60,000.
It's probably more, and it's tragic, and it's so, so sad.
Yeah.
But we've got to find a way to live with it in our midst now. You know, it's going to be the smallpox of this time, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Until the time's a way of either getting rid of it, or I'm not keen on the vaccination thing.
I'm not having anything like that. You imagine that you are going to be vaccinated by what you actually don't want.
It doesn't make sense. I mean, I'm diabetic, so I've had to be really, really careful during all of this. And I'm offered a flu jab every year, and I don't have it. And I'm offered a pneumonia one, and I don't have it because it's so full of mercury. And God knows what else. I don't have it, and I do get a bad flu, but I get through it and I get over it. So I mean, I'm not telling people not to have vaccinations. That's a personal choice. But whether you have a vaccination for it or not, if they ever come up with one, which
I don't think they ever will, but yeah.
I mean, again, Spirit told me there will be a vaccination available around September time this year.
Yeah, that's worrying though.
Well, Spirit told me it's going to cause swelling in the brain.
I tell you what, 19 or maybe not 1917 or the last pandemic we had here, and that comes under the guise of Bill Gates. The vaccination killed more people than actually the disease did.
I didn't know that. Oh my God, that's outrageous.
It is outrageous, yes, completely.
Well, Spirit has said that they will pull that vaccination and they won't have a working one until the earliest August 2021. That's what Spirit has told me. If they find one at all.
Yeah, I think it's highly, highly unlikely, to be honest. Highly unlikely.
Remember I said it.
I will. Yeah, completely.
I think regardless of what they come up with, we've got to find a way to live with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to have to find a way of living.
But we always have done. We always have done. You know, there is 250,000 to 650,000 people a year die of seasonal flu, and yearly. And you know, we carry our mouths are full of germs. Do you know what I mean? Diseases, viruses. Our bodies are full of them. Our bodies are fighting things on a constant basis from what we touch or whatever.
But I think the way to move forward is to empower yourself to take care of yourself. And I think that's, you know, one of the biggest lessons of this is, one, take responsibility for your life and your choices. And two, look after yourself. You know, make sure you're well. Take care of what you put into your body. Take care of how you treat yourself. Be hygienic. You know, just these simple things.
Well, yeah, it's not hard, is it? You know, wash your hands and stuff.
But people don't. I mean, like going back to the people with the rubbish on the beach, or people. I mean, we've had neighbours here who have been having parties through the whole COVID thing. They've had people in their houses. They've been having parties. They're all vulnerable where I live because a lot of people are over 65.
Yeah.
So there's a whole gamut of people that haven't been bothering.
Couldn't care less. They couldn't care less.
They're not taking responsibility, but the same people, I tell you now, will be the ones that run down the NHS if they don't get treated, or run down the people that try to help them. That's
self-centeredness. That goes back to what you spoke about in the beginning, which is the darkness that sweeps over people.
Yes. And it is there, and you know, it's a tough thing. It's definitely here. It's moving through the earth. It's moving through the universe, really. And
Jan Cardi says, I don't think we should let fear stop us helping people with our healing gifts. And Cosbro Jason says, gifts you can hand back. Yeah, I totally agree. She also says, I think we have awakened and have come to the dark times in our lives. are here now to help people who haven't awakened yet and are struggling with the difficult times we're going through. And you see, unfortunately, what I say to that is that there are some people that will just not awaken because it's not in their plan. It's not in their soul plan.
No, they've not chosen to, and that's absolutely fine. And I think what that lady was saying about healing is really true. I mean, the healing that's happened through my Facebook, just by doing meditations, healing meditations, connecting with guides, finding your power, all of those things is empowering people to take responsibility for their own care.
Yeah.
And actually, so many people have messaged me saying they've lost faith in the spiritual part of their life, but through doing those meditations, they've connected with the spiritual part of their life.
Yeah.
And God, if that's all that this experience does, how amazing will that be?
Absolutely, I agree. I completely agree with you.
And I totally agree, we should be giving healing out, but healing doesn't have to be doing Reiki or...
No, healing can be words, healing can be actions, healing can be anything.
Showing someone a kind thought, or, sharing an idea, or giving someone a talk.
Jan Cardi also says, help them believe we do not have to live in fear and to trust and believe in angels, God, spirit, etc., etc.
Yeah. Exactly, totally and utterly. And do you know something else I just want to say? I'm helping a few people at the moment that are going through cancer battles, and I've been supporting them and gone and done social distance healing and drumming and goodness, and only knows what. And these are people facing real life and death struggles within their families that are equally as difficult, if not harder, than what COVID is doing to people.
Completely agree again.
And
there's 2.5 million of them waiting for treatment right now.
Exactly, and we mustn't forget that, and people that are struggling with their mental health right now because of all of this, and we can't let fear get in the way of that. Love is the thing to focus on.
Love is everything.
It is, and if you can focus on that in your life and just, I always do that thing often. I do it often. It's what would love do? And, some of my family, they giggle at me, but it is what would love do? And love wouldn't fall for all this crap. It wouldn't get dragged down by it. You've got to keep that love in your life and try and share that with as many people as you can, because that's ultimately community. And which hasn't it been amazing how communities have pulled together
absolutely,
and supported each other? And, let's focus on all the positives of this experience, because there's so many. There's so many.
I'll tell you, it's. I mean, having you on, what I like about you is you're down to earth. You say as it is, and you have a realism about yourself, which is infectious. Do you know what I mean? As with every guest, they all come along with something different. But you're there, and you've crossed over the other side like many people, and you've come back. You know what I mean? And like many people, and you brought something that's spectacular and brilliant. And I will certainly be listening to your show on Friday evenings.
I hope you will come on.
I'd love, please do. I'd love to come on as a guest. I'd love to.
Lovely.
That'd be a real difference for me. But
you can be on the other side for
absolutely, But this side's not bad. It's all right. But
no, it's cool.
that would be really good. Please remind me of that. And
I will do.
And obviously, I mean, I as with all guests, I thank you very much for your time and and for coming on, because I do feel what we created here is something very special. It's in infancy, it's still walking, but it's great to have such support from you and all the others that are helping to make it what it is. And
well, you made it, and it's a community, and you're helping people to connect with others that are like-minded, and that's a really, really precious thing.
As you said, it's helping people like you when you first come on here. It's now helped you so much that it's taken to a point to you going on the radio.
Yeah, now I've got the courage to do it.
That's brilliant. I'm really pleased with that. I really am.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, how can people get hold of you? Obviously, you're going to give your details on that now.
Yeah, my website's being built at the moment, so that will be www.joeduckfield.co.uk. My Facebook page is Joe Duckfield for the whole of you. But if you Google Joe Duckfield, I come up, you'll find me, and be able to connect with my Facebook page. And I do, during the week, I do free reading sessions, and there's lots of free meditations on there that you can go and try. And I tend to do 1 or 2 a week at the moment with the meditations. And it's a real community on my page for people to come and be held and get support, not just from me, but all the other people that follow my page. It's a really friendly community. So everyone's very welcome.
Jan Cardi says, thank you, Joe, for your talk tonight.
Oh, bless, you're welcome.
And you what I like about you is you're down to earth, and you just say it as it is, and as I do as well. Yeah, but that's good.
We're the same, but you're Sagittarian as well, aren't you?
I am. You're Sagittarian.
I am.
Yeah. Well, you know, we just run with it, don't we? So
we do, yeah. Sometimes too much, but hey.
No, it's all right. But thank you very much, Joe, and remind me when you're on, and book me in, and let me know.
I'll message you in the week. That's brilliant.
Message me. I'll definitely come on. I'd love to come on. It'd be great.
Darling, that's really kind. Thank you.
All right. No worries. And we'll have you on here again in the not too distant future as well.
Yay! Okay, no problem.
You're a fascinating person.
Love to everyone watching.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
All right.
Bye for now.
Thanks, Joe.
Bye, lovely.
Bye. Bye. There it is, Joe Duckfield. Amazing lady. Just starting her own show, which I think is phenomenal. It's great. On Friday nights, I think she said from the 15th of June. I can't quite remember. Link into her page and you can find out where she is and what radio station she's on and everything else. And it'd be great to be a guest on her show. So yes, and we have a guest now, the last guest of the evening. I'm not sure I never know who the last guest of the evening is, to be honest, but I've got the details here that this person, hang on a minute, I've got to find it, that this person apparently is, I can't find it. He's a man that we all need, apparently. Hello, who's called the Inview tonight? Hello, who are you? Captain Cat. It's Captain Haddock. How are you, Captain Haddock?
Yeah, I'm fine, I am.
And where are you, Captain? Are you still on your desert island, are you?
Yeah, I'm speaking from inside a cave here.
Inside a cave? Wow. And are you still with the lady that showers all the time?
No. We're out there, out in my tree hole, and we're out, and it's been weird. It really has. I've had a lot of things happen the last few days.
Really?
Yeah,
well, was it? It must have been difficult to leave your place and go and explore because you got cannibals all around you, haven't you?
No.
Oh right, I thought they cannibals. Oh, okay.
No, if you remember, I rescued this maiden.
That's right.
And took her back to the tree place, whatever. And anyway, things are happening. And I managed to teach her a few words. And
what did you teach her?
Sorry.
What did you teach her? What words did you teach her?
Well, I taught her a little bit of English,
Oh, that's good.
She a little bit of an accent like me,
Yeah.
Weird, but we went down a little wander, and because if you remember, I did say something about these are Anubis-headed people were walking around.
That's right. I remember that now.
So they're the ones that are in charge of the car that we were taking. And she fell behind a bit. That's when I rescued her,
And then they looked for her, but you were in a tree that was multi-dimensionally massive, where she was in a shower.
Yeah, it's been like a TARDIS,
Wow.
And bigger on the inside than the outside, But anyway, we left there, to go out and have a look around and that. And she was a bit adamant that we didn't go 1 or 2 places, but I thought, well, me, I'm a bit of an explorer,
Well, you're in your element, aren't you? Really, you've gone away from the fisherman and Captain Adit into Captain Adventure had it. Eventually,
Well,
Captain eventually had it.
It's every boy's dream, every man's dream, isn't it? You know, a bit of adventure in some place, like. But
I think it probably is, to be honest, because most people would love to go where you are.
Well, I don't know about that, but
and you have no fear.
I got loads of beer. No, we ain't got loads of beer. But,
loads of fear, not beer.
Oh, right. So anyway, started exploring a little bit, and she said, "No, don't go. And I thought, well, that's an open invitation, that is, isn't it?
Well, yeah, you always go places you don't go.
Oh, yeah. So there we go. We go down. We slip down this hillside, and we collared behind this rock, and there was a lot of these Anubis-headed people around, and they were going into this like cave area, and they were bringing out trolley loads, you know. They didn't have wheels; they were just on rollers, just bringing out trolley loads of these little rocks.
All right, okay.
And they were bringing them over to this place. It was weird to describe it. It was like I suppose you think it's like an Egyptian temple, that sort of thing. Like.
Okay, so you got like an Egyptian temple in the middle of this place.
Yeah, they were bringing these rocks out on these like carts and that, rolling them along on these on tree stumps, that sort of thing, you know.
Yeah, rolling it. Yeah, but these Anubis type creatures.
They were taking them into this like temple type place, like, you know.
And then go and get some more.
Yeah, you know. Well, the weirdest thing is, one of these guys, you know, with these Anubis, you know, hats on, heads on, that sort of thing.
Is it actually a hat they wear, or some of their?
No, it's like a helmet. It's like a helmet.
Oh, right,
you know,
okay.
I'll tell you what,
That'd be handy here in where as a mask, wouldn't it?
No. I'll tell you what would be handy. One of those old bubonic plague doctors.
Oh yes, yes.
They had with the old, the old beaks and that sort of thing. Imagine lining up in Tesco with one of them on, eh?
Especially if you're carrying a violin case.
Maybe the guitar case, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, anyway, so one of them, he came walking around, and he obviously told her have a look around a bit, and kind of bopped him on the head, didn't I?
Did you? You bumped him on the head?
Bopped him on the head.
What did you do that with?
With a big stick.
Oh, right. Okay. You didn't hurt him, though. He just...
No, I rescued him.
Oh, right.
It is this helmet. You take it off, right? And that's what it is. It's a helmet. It's like a thought controlling helmet. Like, you know, so these are indigenous people, like, from around there,
right.
You know?
So this girl would have worn one of these if she went down there.
Yeah, quite possibly. And so, you know, I took it off and had a look, and there's all sorts of weird gadgets in there, so I just yanked them out. And I put it on myself, like, you know.
Right. You put it on yourself. Was that not dangerous?
No, not really, because it's not. I ripped all the inside out of it, you know.
Oh,
so
right,
so I go in and mingle with them to see exactly what's going on.
That's clever, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, so I started walking down there. So you're not just a simple seafarer, fisherman, captain type person, you know.
It's a good job it fitted your head, isn't it?
What? Sorry?
It's a good job it fitted your head.
Well, yeah, it was. I mean, you know, some would say I was lucky. But anyway, I put her on, and I started walking down there and that sort of thing, and then I was expecting to, you know, get in with the rest of them quickly, like, you know, and started uploading this stuff, and I went inside his temple. Oh God, bloody hell!
Wow.
Well, you have seen nothing like that. It was all sorts of weird markings and all that on there.
Like hieroglyphics and things like that.
Well, yeah, but not like ancient Egyptian ones that I know of. There were all sorts of weird ones they were.
It's a shame you ain't got a camera while you're there, innit? You could take pictures.
Yeah, I know, but you got to remember, I reckon this is deep in the earth, like
Yeah.
here, because we got no sky, like stars and nothing like that. We just got like an orange kind of sky.
And it never goes. It never gets dark.
Well, it does, but I don't know whether it's artificial or not. But this is one of these sort of things I got to find out. Anyway. So I guess inside his temple, oh God, it was beautiful. All kind of wall type of markings and that. Some of them I've never seen before in my life. I watched Discovery channels and all that sort of thing before in the past.
Yeah.
That sort of thing when I was old and whatever. But it's nothing like ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, nothing like that at all. But they were just, they were beautiful. They were, really strange, different kind of markets. Anyway, so I went on with the rest of them, and then we got this big room. And they started unloading their stuff and all that sort of thing. And then the beam of light come down, and it was, it sort of like take it up,
Right. What takes the rocks up?
Yeah. I don't know whether it's some kind of mineral in there or some kind of mining sort of thing. I don't know. But whatever they are, they're obviously very intelligent, that sort of thing, for these helmets and whatever.
Oh, yeah. Did anyone talk to you?
I can only gather that they're extraterrestrial, something like that.
Did it?
Deep in the earth mining things.
Did anyone notice you were out of sync in there?
No, because I made sure that I was, with them, and I was just observing rather than the rest of them.
Yeah.
Were looking, they just carrying on what they were doing, and I was just having an occasional look around, that sort of thing, making sure, because there was guys there, with the numerous heads, but they were different colour. These were gold ones.
Really?
They had gold helmets on, and they had whips. And they were women people, but I made sure,
Well, a lot of people pay a lot of money in Parliament for that.
I was made sure I was out of the eye line of them, and I was looking around, you see, every now and then. As soon as I see them looking towards my way, I just straight and narrow.
Yeah.
But when you got further inside, there was this, it was like a horn. A sound, whatever, and people put their stuff down, and then all of a sudden, everybody stopped.
Really?
Everybody stopped in the tracks, even the one with the gold Anubis heads, helmets on it. They just stopped.
What do they do?
I don't know. They just stopped in their tracks. They were like statues, and they started moving back slowly, and I turned around and went outside, and I managed, and I took the helmet off, and then just run up to the side of the bank there and clambered up and got back where the other two were, where Faye Maiden was, and also the guy who kind of rescued, he come to by then. And he was speaking all kinds of gibberish, and I couldn't understand that,
really?
But he was hugging me, whatever, and I'm thinking, oh, whoa, hang on, man.
Well, social distancing, come on, Well,
that's it. I mean, to work and understand, obviously, the indigenous people there are obviously enslaved or something, and they were putting these helmets on, and that it turned them into. Well,
they're turning into slaves for whatever their helmets are.
Yeah, so that was strange. That really
It must mean you had never experienced anything like it.
No, I never experienced anything like that. But I tell you what, I really relish in this. I don't want.
Hello? Captain Haddock. Haddock. I think his signal's gone.
Is it?
Oh, there, I can hear you now. What happened there?
I don't know. But I don't know. But one thing for sure, I ain't going to never go back. No way.
Well, you're never going back to Mega Giffy.
No, I'm never going back to Manligissy. Not one right there. No,
Well, you met a young lady now. Are you two amorous with each other now?
Well, that'll be tell it, won't it?
Well, that would be, yeah.
No, I ain't going in there. I never kiss and tell, you know. But, you know, my wife was back in Manligissy. She said, you know, she renamed me Seldom. If you remember, Seldom had it.
Seldom had it. That's right. Yeah, I remember that.
But I've got another name now, but I ain't going to tell you what it is.
Always had it.
No, just Captain had it, do.
Oh, Captain had it. Yeah. So you're in a cave now, are you?
Yeah, can't you hear the echo?
Yeah, I can hear the echo. Yeah. Is that a big cave? Is it?
Well, it ain't too big. You know, probably about 40 feet by about 30, something like that.
And you're all in there right now, are you?
No, it's just me and me and Dave one. That's it. There's one way.
So where's your young lady gone and the man you saved?
Well, they're back up the side and they're just making their way back. They're going to meet up with me probably in about 15, 20 minutes.
All right, okay.
Then we're going back to Treehouse.
So what cave are you in? Is that a
whatever you
cave?
call it.
Is that a cave where they're taking the stones from?
No. It's a big one, I reckon. Well, a better place to hide than somewhere where they've already been.
Well, that's true. That's an extremely good idea. This is worlds away from you being out on the high seas, isn't it?
Well, it is. You just catch it back, roll and that sort of thing, you know, with an occasional, well, you got lucky, catch a tuna or something like that, but there it's totally different. Well, I'll tell you what, I don't work for nothing here, you know.
Well, no, it doesn't sound like it. You don't need any money either there, do you?
Money? What's money?
Well, yeah, precisely.
Food, food, whatever I need. And that's here. And
You
I got a
haven't-
picture as well.
You haven't found any you haven't found any passion fruit cider or anything yet.
Nothing like that. But my young lady, she did say that there is some kind of, you know, like, it's a bit like coconut, but that same sort of size.
All right.
As you said, you know. I said, well, you've been like coconut. You know, I don't know what that is. I said, well, I make sure with my hands, like. She said, yeah, it's around that sort of size. But it grows on these trees. So what they do, they chop them down, and you know, they empty the contents, you know, liquid contents, that sort of thing. And this is our it for men.
Yeah, it'd probably need a few days, a week or so, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so that's doing it. And apparently,
I mean, look, we've said this before, but obviously, you know, even if you got on your boat and found out where Mega Giffy was, you might have only been gone a couple of blinks. I think we're losing him. Are you there, Captain Haddock?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now. Yeah, you drifted a bit there. Must be the signal in the cave, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I move a little bit closer to the
Yeah, don't get seen, though, because they might come after you.
There's no one around, so, you know, I speak now. So, yeah. It's incredible. I mean, there's no way I'm going back on that boat back to Inview, but I don't even know where I could anyway.
Well, you don't know where you are, do you?
No, I mean, as far as I can make out, I'm in the middle of something. It's probably the middle of the earth or something like that. The
Wow.
only thing I can ascertain is that because there's a whirlpool that took me out. So, you know, where I am You know, it's got to be inside the earth, isn't it? You know,
Well, I suppose it is, yes.
You know, and he's Newby's like great. The guy there.
He's going. Are you there?
Around it, right? Even though he's a bit scary, I know I have a bit of a, I'll put it, protect screen around me, put it that way. I ain't gone into that. But something different.
Well, it really sounds like you're at home.
I love it here. I love it here. I love it. Sure, like, you know, because everything's there, you know, the following day. So
Yeah.
I go back into my tree house, like, you know, tree house. Sounds like he's up a tree, right? He's inside the inside the tree, like, you know, it's a bit like the TARDIS.
Yeah.
So you know, probably, I don't know how big it is. And I haven't really mapped it out, but it's got to be, what, size of 2 houses put together,
Wow.
like, on the ground floor.
That's
know,
massive.
That sort of size, you know, it's quite big in there. But you go outside, it just looks like a normal oak tree type thing, you know.
Wow.
But yeah, I love it. You know, I wouldn't change it for a world.
Well, and as I said
Yeah,
before,
but when I get in there, you see, if there are people, just say for example, there were people chasing after me, right? As soon as I get in there, it stops.
Yeah.
Right. So when you're outside, it continues.
Yeah.
It's almost like time stops. You know, time is there because we all know, as far as I make out, the time is relative for the individual. So
Yeah.
what's outside don't matter. I mean, you know, there's no time outside. You take my perspective.
Yeah, your phone's breaking up a little bit. Stand still. Debbie Johnson says, will Dave 1 and 2 be able to navigate him back to the pub in Mega Giffy when it opens for some Thatchers? Did you hear that? It must be a bad signal in that cave, I'll tell you. And he's gone. Let's just try it. Let's try and get him back on his number. Very quickly try and get him back. Where is he? That's my ringtone. Hello, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Sorry, you were drifting away. There's been a comment come in from Debbie Johnson who says, will Dave 1 and 2 be able to navigate him back to the pub in Mega Giffy when it opens for some Thatchers?
No, I ain't bothered about that. God, yeah. No, I ain't bothered about that. Because they probably don't even know the way.
Well, no, I mean, Dave 1 is out on his boat and Dave 2's wandering around in the bush.
Oh, Dave 2's on the boat. He's keeping an eye on her.
Oh, yeah, well, he could be there a long time, couldn't he?
Yeah, with Dave 1 scouting the island, you know, he's coming around here, there, and everywhere, like, you know, so
it's quite handy having a couple of ghosts, really, isn't it?
Well, yeah, because I do get a hand occasionally, like, but Dave 1 is a bit sceptical. He won't, you know, you say, right, you got to find your own way here, like, you know, I'll be around here and give you information and whatever, but it's your nature, he says to me, you know.
Wow.
But, yeah, I mean, there's some strange going on.
It is, and I'm sure when we speak to you in a couple of weeks' time, I'm sure a lot of other strange things will happen as well.
They certainly would, I expect, yeah. I mean, it's a lovely place. It's a lovely, whatever it is. Whereas in the earth, I think it is. You know, if you think, because, you know, the compass and all that sort of thing on the watch, I mean, it just goes round and round and round. So,
yeah, I was going to say, what happens to your compass is just going round, spins round.
Yeah, it just spins round non-stop. So the only thing I can surmise is we're down in the earth.
It does sound like it.
I don't know. But, yeah, it's very interesting. And God, dear David Attenborough, God, he give tight teeth for this, won't he?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're groundbreaking and obviously got the scientific world sitting on the edge of their seats, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, well, I don't know about that. But I don't know what things are happening, top side, if I can say that.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, I should get off of it here. I know that. I've got my, how can I put it? I've got my feet well and truly into this, and I'm going to get in the bottom of whatever's going on.
Oh, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will.
Yeah, because things are being put on hold. So, maybe it's a few weeks back, these weird fish coming out, start walking.
I know, I remember that.
And they turn, that's something. So evolution is kind of stopped for the time being. Where it carries on, I don't know. But
it's going to be interesting to see and catch up with you in a couple of weeks' time and see what's going on.
Yeah, well, I've seen some strange creatures though down here.
Yeah.
They'd like to get out because I think the people that pull out these wagons from the cave, it's like this huge boars. Big boars.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Big huge boars. They're about 3 times the size they are.
Crikey.
And they've got these harnesses on, and they just put in these cars over the top of laid down drums of wood,
Wow. Well, all I can say is that it's absolutely amazing, and I do feel that people are on the edge of your seats because of how you described it. It sounds a fascinating place, and you think it's in the earth, and obviously we will carry on with your travels in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah. More usually,
and as always, it's always a pleasure to speak to you, Captain Hadit.
It was a pleasure to speak to you, my friend, and you being the ears and the eyes and the voice up there.
Yeah. Well, at least it's nice to have somebody to talk to, isn't it?
Well, I got my friends to talk to, but it's another one hopefully soon. So, but it's nice to speak to somebody on top.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's always better to be on top, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because it's better to fall than whatever. I don't know where this is going.
I'll tell you what, it's been a pleasure speaking to you, Captain Hadit, and you enjoy yourself there, and we will touch base with you in a couple of weeks' time and find out if you had it. No, if you, or what you are doing at that time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that second part.
Well,
yeah,
take it easy, Captain Hadit.
I ain't gonna take it easy here. I ain't at night, So.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, go on adventure. Keep you informed, my friend.
Thank you very much, and it's lovely to speak to you, Captain Hadit.
I'll speak to you at all.
And I'll speak to you soon. Bye, Captain Hadit. On his island, not wanting to go anywhere. Who has actually come across a massive great temple, Egyptian temple, with Anubis wearing people. It's got some sort of mind device in the helmets that are put on the locals. So we will find out more about that and what these stones are in a couple of weeks' time, hopefully. Really enjoyed the show tonight. It's been really good. My thanks to all the guests tonight. Absolutely phenomenal, all of them. And a great show that's whizzed by, and it's now 9 minutes past 10, but Doesn't matter, does it? Who's on the Wii show next week? Well, June the 14th next week, we got Tanya Weimer. We've got a guy called Ruck, who is a music producer and all sorts of that. And we got Simon Heathcott and a special guest. So next week's show, technically, apart from our special guest, which could be anybody that I spoke to, all the other three have never been on the show before. So they're all new to the Inview. They're all on next week. That's Ruck, who's a music producer. Tanya Weimer and Simon Heathcott are all on the show next week. So don't miss it. And obviously all have a great week out there. And thank you very much for your comments. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. The Inview is a very special program to me because it brings together people and a community. Stay safe out there, and you know, just be yourselves, stay yourselves, and walk in your truth. That's what you should do with love in your heart. I bid you all good night, and I will see you all next Sunday, 7 o'clock on the button. Night night.